Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to our live play. It's Renegade Virtual Con, and we're getting to play Altered Carbon today with some of my favorite people on the planet. Who all graciously accepted an invite in order to play this um, yet to be released game at the moment. So I'll say hello, everybody, to
Hello.
to all of the crew. We have well, I was going to do your character names, but let me just introduce you as people first, since I understand that you are first people and then players afterwards. So we have Aki, who is currently writing and working on the Osaka supplement for Altered Carbon at the moment. You've got to play twice so far.
I
This is your
have.
second time, right?
It is my second time. One, I consider myself very fortunate because the more I play this game, the more familiar I become with it, the better that book becomes. So I'm here for it.
You're like, sign me up for all of the games. I need to play it all the time.
Pretty much, yes. Yes, the answer is that's yes.
We have none other than Satine Phoenix joining us today,
Hi.
who's going to be. Well, we'll get the characters in a bit. Thank you. I love that I can always just text you and be like, "Do you want to play?" And you're 99% of the time like, "Yeah, done. Let's do it."
I don't.
So,
Yeah. What are we playing? That's
what
the real question.
Jason Charles Miller, who just finished tweeting this game out to the
No,
world.
I didn't. I haven't even finished tweeting yet.
Oh, get the tweet
I'm
in.
trying to
Look,
find.
get
I'm
the
trying to
tweet.
find the Twitch link. What's
The Twitch.
what's
You
the
mean
Twitch address?
the
exactly?
Twitch address is twitch.tv/Hunters Entertainment, which
Entertainment. Okay.
only premiered yesterday. It literally is the first time that we've put this together, and it's been
Okay.
very humbling to be able to have the company be at the point where we could have an official Twitch channel because I have cool people like JB behind the curtain, tippity tap 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 tippity tapping, making this work.
Man behind the curtain.
And then none other than Miss Markia. Hi, Markia.
Hi, Markia McCarty, y'all.
McCarty, of course. Yes, I
Yeah.
didn't know if we're all doing last names, but it's good to see you. Have we? I don't think we played since 10 Candles. Did you play 10 Candles with us?
Wow.
I didn't do 10 Candles with GNS. I did it with Hyper RPG.
The
and
Hyper. That's
oh,
right.
we didn't. Yeah, we didn't have you on that one. We did we went to Geeky Teas and did a home game type of a thing. So I think that was the last.
Oh, that's right.
time.
We were when we were playing at Geeky Teas with a prototype. I dragged you in to play a prototype, being all business pig about it. I'm like, Markia, would you come give me your standard opinion about this game real quick? You were wonderful.
I enjoyed being you and Donna's older sister in that in that game.
Yeah, it was super fun. And now we all get to sit here and play Altered Carbon, which at this stage is I won't mind saying, but it is so close to off to the printers that I am excited this moment. We're just doing all the last little minute tweaks, so I still consider this a play test because it is not quite there yet, but it may as well be because all the backers have it. And this is if you haven't backed the campaign, you can still get into it because they still have the CrowdOx pre-order system in place. But right now, the only people who have this game right now are the people who backed it on Kickstarter and U4.
Well, I did both, so I had to back it. I want the backpack.
Oh, that's right. No, it is and I don't think did I get a chance to tell you it's a hard shell backpack?
The what?
Yeah, it's a hard
Even
shell
better.
backpack with LED lights inside of it.
That's so futuristic.
It looks just like the one in the show, and it's actually those damn LED lights that are really just giving us the big problem right now because I'm learning a lot about what it takes to ship things that have electronics like LEDs inside of them, and if they need to have batteries. And like, if you do lithium ion, that's a concern because you can't ship lithium ion. And if it's regular batteries, do you provide them or you can't ship them because of corrosion? It's like, all
I
these.
just feel that I already have planned what I'm going to do with that because that photo shoot is happening.
Yes. Oh, my heart. Be still my heart. I can't wait.
Also, Burning Man backpack. It comes with its own LEDs. That's amazing.
It is pretty cool. It's all lined on the inside because if you remember from the show when he opens it up, it's just like it's just like drugs and LEDs like just hitting your face all at the same time. And it was definitely a thing. So we're going to be using Roll20 today because we have a super cool official Roll20 character sheet for Altered Carbon, to be able to kind of bring this into the Renegade Virtual Con today. And yeah, well, let me actually tell everyone a little bit about what the game we're doing today, and then we can talk about your characters and why the hell you took this job. But the game today is going to be taking place in Bay City, which is the futuristic San Francisco-ish area of Altered Carbon. And today you're going to be brought in for investigation around Kamala Biotech, who has asked you to come in order to investigate a very serious concern that involves shareholders and their concerns. And we kind of discussed a little bit in the pregame that there was a point of contact that probably brought your team on board. And as Jason, you said a little bit earlier, you're kind of like the dirty dozen of PIs at the moment.
Furious Fabulous Five.
Furious, yeah, Fabulous Five. Or what was what's Stallone's crew that he does in his movie that I always forget?
Expendables?
The Expendables, yes.
We're the non-expendables.
No, you're not expendable.
If you were expendable, they wouldn't have given you a med tech. I'm just saying.
Yeah, right. So let's go around. Aki, would you start, since you brought up the medtech? Why don't we start with your character first? Would you tell us who you're playing and a little bit about them and why they're doing this job?
Sure. So I'm Carrie Utada. I am a medic and a technician. And I mostly do this kind of stuff because I firmly believe that tech in the wrong hands can be a bad thing. Sometimes you just gotta put the kibosh on that kind of stuff. But I'm also like trying to make sure that the people that I work with, don't end up in a situation where they need to, use some of the goods that we pick up.
Yeah. You've got a modded crew as well too. Like most of you, except for Moira's sleeve, are all synthetics at this point too. So I feel like this is your crew. You're tuning them up like new cars all of the time. Like these are all your hot rods, and you're the mechanic.
Yep. And I am all about keeping those kitties purring at peak efficiency.
Cool. Well, speaking of Moira, why don't we start with you, Satine, and your character?
I have 2 sleeves, but nobody knows this except for our crew. Okay. So by day, I am a socialite mogul. I'm a company woman. I am an investor and a benefactor, and I like to manipulate companies and the world and such. But by night, I'm Raven Steel.
PI and personal assistant for the what do we decide? The Cedar Pole investment groups.
Yeah, yes. So I am my own assistant. I am the liaison to me.
That's good. The only thing I will tell you is make sure at no time are you in both sleeves, because that is grounds for erasure in Altered Carbon. Being double sleeved.
Wait, I can be in 2 sleeves at once?
You can, but you shouldn't, because you will literally get if anyone caught you, you would be grounds for erasure. And an erasure in Altered Carbon basically means we're going to remove your backups. We're going to remove any version of your DHF that might be anywhere in the world. And both of your sleeves are now public or government property. They're now like,
it's very irresponsible. And I would not be like that. Both Moira and Raven are like, she has 2 sleeves, but they are both hers. So they act the same.
That's fine. And trust me, like there are definitely people out there who have multiple sleeves. It's just don't be them at the same time. Just don't do it.
So Myra would be a little older, more respect. Like she kind of wields respect. Maybe she's in her like early 50s. And Raven Steel would be in her early 30s.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And Raven's the one in the synthetic sleeve, correct?
Yes. And but just like the other, she's really quiet and observant.
Okay, done and done. How about you, Mr. Jason Charles Miller, who are you playing today?
Well, I'm playing a guy named Zach Jax. I'm a soldier. I know how to kill, and I've been killed many times, but they just put me in a new sleeve and slap me back into the back of somebody's neck and send me right back out. That's all I know how to do, but I know how to do it pretty damn good, except for when I get killed. But then apparently I'm good enough to get back out there. So
well, certainly you're good enough at this point, or lucky enough to not have your stack be slagged in a real death situation. They can bring you back. How did you meet up with Moira? How is that part of how did you become part of her crew?
Moira and I, I got a soft spot in my heart for Moira. What can I say? There's a tiny little piece of my heart left, and it's attached to her. So anything that she wants me to do, any job she asks me, I'm there.
Right. And the credits don't hurt
Louis
either.
Vuittons.
Yeah, the credits don't hurt either. What'd you say?
You like my Louis Vuittons.
Sure.
And that leaves us with Devange.
Okay, so for Devange, she was about to turn 60 in a couple of days, but about 6 weeks ago, she was re-sleeved into a 17-year-old's body.
Okay, all right.
17-year-old synthetic sleeve.
What happened to her old body?
See, that's the thing. And we're going to find this out.
Okay.
For some reason, and I don't even completely remember what happened. I just kind of woke up, and then all of a sudden I was in the body of a child. This is a child. I'm a woman.
Okay. All right. Interesting. So really, it was one of those. You're there 1 minute. What was the last thing you remember before you woke up in a re-sleeving tank inside of this new body?
I was following up on a lead. I was going on, let's say, the other side of the hydro tracks.
Okay. Fair enough. And you were following up
then
there.
I was jumped, and I woke up in that bath.
Well, sleeve jumping is not uncommon. And, I would like to think that maybe, and if you don't mind me thinking about this as well, too, is that Moira is the one who recovered your stack and got you this body that you're in right now that you can actually deal with for the moment while you try to find out vengeance on the guys who sleeve jacked you.
I'd also think that I might have had some, previous dealings. I'm an I have a series of informants. They don't know who I am anymore, but I have a series of informants. It seems like maybe Moira would want to have access to that information.
All right. Yeah. Man, I'm so curious. We have to. Who would want to sleeve jack you, and why?
Yeah.
Like, what about your sleeve is so important? So,
I have a question about that.
Saying.
So, do the synthetics age? Is that like a thing? Like they age?
They age in the way that a piece of furniture ages. It gets more ratted up. It kind of falls apart as time goes by. It needs to be upkept. And because they're synthetic, they're depending on what generation they are, just like the newest model of car, right? The older your synth body is, probably the cheaper it is to pick up off a lot. So
I gave you a good one, Devange. Top quality.
You bet. I made sure all the upgrades went through fine.
Yeah, and I know.
I appreciate it. I want my body. I grew into that. That's mine.
Where is the body?
That's part of it. But that's actually, I have to imagine, Carrie, that's probably a little frustrating. You put all this. Well, actually, that's a good point.
I put a lot of work into making.
No, please go ahead.
I'm going to let you ask the question because that will influence what I say next.
Well, it was a question more for Devange. Is that the thing that was sleeve jacked, was that your natal sleeve? Was that your birth sleeve?
It was my birth sleeve.
It was your birth sleeve. Okay, yeah. So it probably could have had some augments that Carrie would have gone into it, but it's not like the hot rod that you.
Well, this is the thing. Like, yeah, I might be more used to doing work on synthetic bodies, but I'm still a medic. That doesn't mean natal sleeves are also my purview, and making sure they're they're also in peak condition is my job as well. I don't discriminate.
Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. It's blood or oil. Take your pick. So, all right. Well, let me give you a super quick overview of how the game is played. And then we can kind of jump into this adventure because we don't have a whole lot of time. That's kind of the joys of these virtual cons a little bit. But I'm certainly kind of excited to kind of see how this all comes about with you. But Altered Carbon is has a skill dice based system where how good you are at something is determined by what die you're going to roll. And it's not uncommon. You'll see things like this in Kids on Bikes, which is another one of our games, as well as Savage Worlds. The difference is that how good you are at something determines the lowest side of the dice. So the best dice that you can get in the game is a D4, and the worst dice you can be associated with is a D12. And this is important because when you roll a skill check in Altered Carbon, you are trying to roll under a target number. So rather than just saying, oh, okay, roll a d20, add a modifier, instead the GM is setting a target number based off the scenario, and you're attempting to roll under that stat with all of your training and your equipment and your attributes and your points as well. So, and that's the core that you need to know. There are two other type of optional dice that can be put into play. They're called bonus dice and luck dice, and they're very situational, and they are always assigned by the GM, unless you have a pair of like some gear that gives you bonus dice because it's really awesome. Like I think Jason, I think your CTAC AK it allows you a bonus dice when using it as well too. So
Nice.
stuff like that. Good equipment will give you bonuses, kind of a situation. Yeah, and let me think. Did you I mean I allowed a little bit of allocation just to talk about more character stuff. Is there anything else you guys want to go over before we hop into Kamala Labs and find out what the hell's going on in this world?
Trial by fire.
Trial by fire. Okay. All right then. Then let's hop into it. So your story begins in the loading dock of the Bay City location of Kamala Labs. Now, Kamala Labs is a strict competitor against other companies like Psychosec, and they are specifically designer sleeve manufacturers. So you're talking about Louis Vuitton. These guys are the Louis Vuitton of sleeves as far as the Bay City service goes. They're on the forefront of sleeve technology, and they do everything from combat sleeves that they have government contracts for in order to fulfill for the military, all the way to luxury designer sleeves that do pretty much everything under the sun that you could think of. I mean, you name it, it's a specific thing that you're looking for. Kamala can usually genetically engineer it as part of their stuff. It just depends on how much you want to pay. So your story doesn't begin in the front door of Kamala Labs, but instead through the service door in the rear, in which a desk agent meets you in the back, and after keying you in, slowly escorts you inside of the back entrance. You go through 3 or 4 other doors before you actually get into the main hallway, and each one requires some kind of security protocol in which to go through. The first is a dermal scan with a thumbprint. The second one is a DNA scan, which is used by licking and then pressing your hand on side of the inside of the system. And the third one is actually a desk agent who provides a command code in order to respond to make sure that there's no missleeving happening trying to infiltrate Kamala Labs. But as soon as each one of these service doors is rendered open, you kind of come into a very stark white, very medical building that just has bright light that's cascading down, and you can see a lot of the various laboratories that have been sectioned off with full clean suits in which people are working on bodies the same way that you would imagine like a body shop in a Tesla factory being worked on at the same time. And there's these large growing tanks in which needle sleeves are being systematically cloned and grown. You're in there briefly before you're escorted into a very stark but very refined conference room in which a man with black hair and a widow's peak with this stark kind of black goatee is greeting you and kind of motions to the seats in front of you. By the way, what do you all look like as far as how we should imagine your characters?
I'll go first. So Carrie Utada stands at about 6'2". They're really like tall, lanky, slender, medium brown skin, close to mine. They actually have pretty they have pretty wild curly hair that they actually keep trained back in cornrows most of the time. But those are kind of bound together at the nape of their neck and continue to trail down their back. So they have like a long ponytail, and they have like a scar that runs across the bridge of their nose, but they've never had it repaired or anything. They kind of keep it as a badge of honor. They like it, and they mostly wear a pretty close-fitted tactical kind of like suit to sort of that's very easy to move in. Nothing too fancy, and some boots.
Some good old boots.
Yep, some good combat boots. It's kind of they're kind of their bag. Black and tactical. That's what I like to call them. Black and tactical.
All right. How about Ravensteel? What are you presenting yourself into this conference room?
I would say 5'11", business suit, slacks, stretchy slacks so she can move, like heels that she can maneuver in, but you would, she
Not doing a
has to-
high-speed chase in it or anything like that, right?
She could run in them, so the heels are thicker, but they also, if you're just glancing, they could just be, she's a business person. Her hair's black and it's tied up in a bun, has amber-colored eyes and olive skin, and definitely looks like a professional. Wields an iPad 33.
Okay.
And is constantly taking notes.
All right, Devange. What does this new sleeve look like that's you've been forced into, thankfully courtesy of Moira and her associates?
Yeah. So picture a 17-year-old. My skin tone has patterned vitiligo on her face and body. Neon colored, like rainbow neon colored dreads, shoulder length, going around her head, and is more on the tall side. We're saying for close to 6 feet, but not 6 feet. So like 5'8", 5'9", type of thing, and definitely has some nice muscle mass. I wish I had her arms. Yeah. Along with that, has the duster, like just PIs just tend to have that, and is packing a 357 because
Okay.
keeping it old school. We don't need to have energy weapons. This works.
This
They
works.
know what it is.
Is that visible? Are you like, yo, I've got the holster right here so you can see it, or is it concealed?
It is not concealed. Every now and again, she'll picture the 17-year-old. She'll just.
Well, I will have to say, including Zach Jax's CTAC AK, your 357, and I think even Derringer as well too. Those are all going to have to be checked in at the desk agent in the back before going into the labs proper, just for just for protocol.
How about if I have the Derringer concealed?
That's fine. Yeah. Bad news is that the alarms would still go off.
Okay.
And they would still give you a scan, and they'd give you that look being like, okay, we make sleeves for a living. Hold it up, synth,
Fair enough.
Okay.
I've only been in this synth for 6 weeks. I'm figuring it out.
Oh, I forgot. Speaking of Zach and his very imposing looking CTAC AK, what are you looking like?
Yeah, was I allowed to go in there with that?
No, absolutely not.
what would I have been allowed to enter the room with, considering I normally wear what appears to be street clothes, but really is like as much as full body armor as I could possibly wear legally without causing all sorts of.
Well, you have a cybernetic skeleton as well too, if I remember right. So you've got a fully augmented bone structure. So you basically are a walking piece of body armor in some ways.
I've had this body for a while. I've been pretty lucky with this specific one, but there's not much to it. You know, he's bald. He shaves all the hair off of his body. Like he just wants to be the ultimate fighting machine. That's why he's there. There's no frills.
So this moment for you when you're having to go through the security checkpoint is more of a on Earth and start pulling knives and various equipments out, dropping it all off so that it falls onto the table.
Back here.
Instead of getting the little cell phone bin, they have to get the tote bucket out in order to put your stuff inside.
They have to get like the equivalent of like a small trash dumpster.
Okay. I mean, you're armed, but we're not going to give you that much. Sorry, Zach.
Right.
Okay.
Hey, making it good for the viewers, right?
So we've got a ragtag. So we've got a ragtag group of everything from a bald killing machine to like casual business to like neon dreaded adolescent, all the way to just a swarthy biotech just laid out in black tack, as like you said. So and really this guy, he may as well have been a part of your crew as well too. I mean, we're talking little tiny goatee, like I said, the widow's peak, spiky black hair, but he's in a lab coat, and he introduces himself as Frederick Talon, and kind of sits you all down into the front of the conference room here and goes, "Really, this is Moira's crew, huh? Well, good to know. I've got 2 pieces of information for you, and that's all I have. So, unfortunately, this isn't going to be a Q&A session. Kamala Labs has some bootlegs out on the streets, and unfortunately, they are a lot more frequent than we will allow within our margins of error, so to speak. So our biggest concern is that these bootlegs are showcasing proprietary tech that's part of our next generation sleeves. We don't have any loss of inventory, but we do have some frequent dipping activity where data could have been taken piecemeal, and frankly, any monkey with a bioprinter could have leaked some into the market. Moira told me that you are all very good at tracking down situations like this, and these sleeves are at a minimum of 7 figures at base level, so we can't allow any more to be printed and put out onto the streets. So, questions?
Got any?
Who's the top person that would have the most access to these sleeves?
Well, besides the president of Kamala Labs, pretty much anyone who's in R&D. But as you can see, as you checked in here, not a lot comes in, not a lot comes out. The dippers who go in there get bytes of data at a time. So it would have taken years in order for them to actually put together enough information in order to pull out a full sleeve.
Do you have any known enemies?
I mean, yes.
like your top 3 people.
Psychosec, Odin Labs, and well, that's about as much as I'm authorized to say.
Do you not want us to help you find your sleeves right now?
Look, you're not going to be the only group out there looking for these bootleg sleeves at the moment. So
But
this is about as
the only group that brings them back to you.
You mentioned dippers coming in and out of here. Do you know where those dippers are being hired from? And
we don't. I mean, the good news good news is that we've managed to connect them all through various parts of Earth itself, so no one's dipping from any kind of needle casting. So it's not off-world, not much we know, but
Okay.
they are hard to trace.
There seem to be like a specific time that this happens, or
We have pretty regular infiltrations around the clock because of Kamala Labs' pedigree in this territory. Our infosec is incredibly talented, but no matter what the kind of protocols we have around it, there will always be small bites that leak through at a bit of a time, but never enough to actually, walk away from anything significant.
might have
What
left
am-
some technical fingerprints behind.
Well, if you'd like to take a look at our logs, I can try to authorize at least the release of a few different log files to see if you can go into it, if that's a way that you want to approach this investigation. So,
What do you say, Devange?
I think that we also need to not just looking at the tech logs, which we obviously are, and then Carrie, she looks over at Carrie and is like, we also need to talk to whichever technicians you had on staff that had the biggest data withdrawal.
so you can kind of see he was expecting this kind of question. So he pulls out a carbon file that's laid out just like a data slate, and kind of like leans it over to you and goes, "This is all the information on the current generation of Kamala Neurotech, or I'm sorry, Kamala Biotech sleeve that is currently out there. These are the bootlegs that we're looking for. It's already out in the market, but it's the current generation. Like I said, this is a designer material out there right now, and you can kind of see it slowly going through, and it looks just as much like a brochure that you would hand a buyer as it is kind of any kind of technical information. All the information you would need to know about the sleeves is going to be right there.
Do you keep the same team working on this on these sleeves all the time, or do you have a couple of different teams working on this?
As far as Q&A quality testing, or as far as the actual manufacturing of the sleeves themselves?
I would look at the R&D team, the people who are manufacturing, people who are testing.
Look, I understand your concern to want to question and look into the internal infrastructure of our systems, but I can assure you we have no moles and no leaks inside of Kamalo. The penalties for proprietary data leaks are severe in this circumstance, and it's my job as a QA manager in this sector in order to ensure that no data leaks out. So, unless you'd like to look over my reports and interviews, which I am happy to provide to you inside of this building, you cannot take them out of this building.
I believe we're going to have to do that. And you know what, Bobby? Can I call you Bobby? I'm going to call you Bobby. Bobby, I understand that you have a really tough job. I get it. I completely get it that you don't want anybody looking over your shoulder, especially, like you said, a ragtag group of investigators sniffing at your heels. But you know what? Don't shine a light in my face and call it the sun, and I won't do that to you. Something always falls between the cracks. We are here to help you. You will get all the credit for everything, and we will get our just reward. So I really need for you to work with us here, because I can see it in your face. There's something you're not telling us about someone.
Good to know that Moira's people cut straight to the point. Okay, look. This is the sleeve information, and he pulls out a stack of actual like a disc. It's like not a disc. It's almost like a USB stick. It looks like a credit chip actually, but it's offline data. You recognize they're kind of old tech. This is not something that is cloud. It's internal tech only, and goes into here. Goes, there's a terminal here. I am happy to leave you in this room to look over it, and I do not want, of course, to infringe on your investigation at any point in this circumstance. At the same time, I have a lot of work that still needs to get done, and the whole point of hiring you is in order to make sure that our shareholders are aware that we are putting together all the efforts that we need to do in order to find the source of these bootleg sleeves, and two, to make sure that anyone who goes out there and buys Kamala Tech is not going to be disappointed by having someone else mess it up. These things are dangerous. All they could do is mess up one little piece of the genetic code, and they could walk around and be a bomb for all we know. And that's not the kind of public information we wanted to leak out. So I can't pull my team away in order to interview you right now, but I do have all of their interviews on file here. And if you have any questions, then you can let me know. And to be honest, we have already a lead on a potential buyer who we have heard is in a part of Licktown, but I don't have much more than just a name for you at the moment. It kind of like slides both of them towards you and takes a stand up and looks over towards the desk clerk that brought you in here in the first place and motions them. They can have as much time in the conference room as they need. You can send me a message should any other follow-up questions come up. Until then, Devansh, Zach, Raven, Carrie, thank you for your time. Make sure, your deposit will be waiting for you when you leave today. He kind of tips his head, walks out with a flurry of like his lab coat as it swishes behind him. You kind of hear the well-oiled, the well-oiled hinge of the door just kind of like as it takes a little bit of the pressure and slowly kind of ekes its way shut, as you see that the desk clerk is respectfully standing outside of the door, where you can just kind of see him there as you sit now with the materials in your hands. And this is when your investigation begins. Materials, cause, potential suspects, a lead, and 2 pieces of information. So what would you like to do first with the stuff that you have available on hand? And I'm happy, by the way, to repeat any of the information that he may have laid out to you, even though he kind of escorted you and then walked out of it a little bit.
Carrie is probably going to be making use of the terminal to do a little bit of tracking on the Dipper situation to see if they can access any of the, like, see what they can figure out from the logs.
So that's the first thing you're going to do is kind of do like a digital systems to kind of start digging through the most recent like flagged Dipper hits kind of a situation.
Sure. Yeah. I think that's what I'll be doing.
So I think that's going to require a digital analysis check. It should be under acuity. And it looks like you've got a D8 in that. We're going to set the target of this. I think it's not that hard. Like you're basically scanning through records and you're not under any kind of particular pressure right here. So I think a good target number for this is 6. No bonus die, no luck dice. This is just you scrubbing data. In the meantime, is that working for you, by the way, as far as the Roll20 app goes with clicking on the character sheet in here? Carrie? I think you're...
Doesn't appear so.
Okay.
I clicked on it, but it didn't do anything. Hold on. Oh, wait, maybe that did. Did that do it?
I did see a number come out, but I didn't see your number come out. Here, let me see if I can...
I heard a sound, but I didn't see a...
Let me see.
Sorry, I did a tester case on mine.
There it is.
No, I rolled it for them,
Oh.
but I'd like to have it be for you and not from me necessarily. So
Yeah.
I'm a little
Hold on.
superstitious like that.
I'm going to try and reopen it and see if that.
Might help if I get out of it as well too, because then we'll hide your character sheet open as well.
Oh, this is like meta technical technique text.
diving in the tech on a tech game, doing data analysis on your character sheet. Is that working, Aki, or is that still having a tough time?
Yeah. There we go.
Hey.
All right.
Well, look at that. Okay, so a 6 on a 6.
Yep.
So well, as you're scrubbing through it, I mean, at this point you're giving a cursory glance because you're pretty aware at this point that pretty much any company that has a high profile security point like this, dippers are going to always be hitting it from every angle. So it's the equivalent of like velociraptors like testing the fences out all the time, right? There's constant intrusions that are attempting to find weakness inside of the systems. And in this case, you're seeing a lot of that. You're seeing a lot of like low effort intrusions being done on frequent dippers, and they'll go in and they'll get like you said, a couple of bytes of data here and there, but they're always from someplace different, and they're never being pulled from like the same kind of files. So it doesn't seem like there's these large packets of data that are being pulled out, and nothing looks fishy for you as far as out of the normal in that circumstance.
Okay. I relay that information to Devange.
Okay. Devange, what are you thinking?
Well, it was a little bit of a long shot, so I'm not surprised with that. I'm going to look over the interviews. I feel like there's something there. We just have to parse through it. So I want to analyze the interviews. No matter what, it always comes back to human element in my experience.
Okay. Zach and Raven, are you wanting to assist in this, or do you have some other angles?
I think it's internal.
Okay.
So yeah, I would love to help out and be another set of eyes.
Okay, great. Well then, what we can do then is I'm happy to give you a bonus dice as part of your investigation then. So Devange, if you wouldn't mind making, look at this, wait, what am I? Yeah, there it is. Investigation check.
Hey.
It should be under acuity.
Okay.
And that number is correct, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
And your target number in this is actually going to be closer to, I would say, 5 in this circumstance. You've got to parse through a lot of data, but I will give you a bonus dice of the same type, a D12, because you're getting Raven's help as well. So you get to roll 2 D12s. Pick the best result.
All right, like I said, this is my first time using Roll20, so I'm under Dice Roller, doing Roll 2 under Advanced Roll, make it a D12.
Well, actually, I got you one easier than that. If you would go over to your journals, which is the 3rd tab on the side here, and then if you go to your character, Devange Arrow, and click on them, and then click on the character sheet, you'll see a whole list of like strength, perception, empathy, willpower, acuity, intelligence, and all the skills that are underneath them. You can click on investigation, like click on the stat itself, and it should give you a pop-up.
Okay, I have input value, target number 5.
Yep, target number. You're going to do 6, I said in this circle. That's your target number.
Target number 6.
And then it'll ask you if you want any bonus dice, and you'll say 1 bonus dice because Raven's helping you out.
1 bonus dice. Got it. Thank you.
Then do the drop down and let it know that you're getting another D12 for that bonus dice.
Excellent.
No luck.
No luck.
Ooh, double blips. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What happened?
Wow. Okay, so you got you rolled a 1, and then the bonus dice issued a 2. Or actually, that's a 1 as well too. So you actually.
Yes.
So this is called a stroke of luck in this circumstance, because you aced it, which means you got the best result on your dice. This is a full-blown ace. It's the
Snake eyes.
altered carbon equivalent of a critical hit on 2d12, by the way, might I just say.
Oh.
So, yeah.
What are the odds of that?
Well, they're bad, is what they are. So, Devansh, something's fishy here. Like everything looks by the books, from what you can tell. Like everything you're looking at is very much by the books. There's almost an appropriate amount of pressure being laid in here on top of this. Like you can tell in these interviews that there is definitely something fishy here. And even though what you can tell about Frederick Talon is, for all intents and purposes, he looks like he's doing his job 100%. There's clearly some line of investigation in this process that's above him that seems to be, it just doesn't seem to sit right. You know what I mean? But you can also tell just from this role as well, too, that investigating inside Kamala Labs, the building itself, like trying to go above him, like there's this part of you, that like gut, that like experience that a PI gets when they're like, that might not be the right way to go, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
Like something's fishy here, but you're not going to get any answers inside of this place, kind of a situation. And you can tell from scrubbing, and Raven's the one who points it out, is that there's a name here. There's actually 3 names of 3 very discontent buyers who are ready to go and get a Kamala sleeve, but for one reason or another decided that he was either too expensive, not high quality enough, or they didn't like the service well enough. They pulled out of the sale last minute. And those names are Martin Cambridge, Sando Yoshai, and Catherine Baker. And because this is like a critical success, like you have like if you wanted to, with an investigation check, you could probably go and get full profiles on these 3 people as well too. They're not in here, you just have those names at least.
Okay. I relay that to everybody in a quiet voice because I don't trust this room. I've learned that the hard way. And then just for a picture, y'all still neon dreads whipping them back and forth. This smaller body and just like tall, very emphatic while she's relaying this conversation to y'all. Because it always comes back to a human element.
So perhaps we should go back to our headquarters.
Zach, is there anything that just seems a little bit off for you?
Well, in my experience, it's always an inside job.
Mm-hmm.
But, what do I know? I'm just a muscle. If my spidey senses were going off, they'd say, let's pay all these people a visit.
I would love to continue this conversation outside of this building.
Oh yeah. See, that's why I'm the muscle. Let's get out of here.
Okay. So is that the plan?
Yeah.
All right. So you kind of take the data slate, you take all of the materials that were given to you, and you lay them down onto the table as you kind of walk out to the door. And with a securitas nod, like the desk clerk kind of checks to make sure that the materials are still there that were given to you, and then walks you through the pathway back to the security checkpoint where you get all of your dangerous arms back, and then through the 2 other checkpoints before taking you back out through the loading dock into the busy Bay City streetways, where since the Kamala loading dock has an overhang, you're kind of in a dark, shadowy area with just some halogen light that's kind of keeping things mildly visible. And you can see as air cars are attempting to lift up and take off in various places as a remotely piloted shipping kind of air car is kind of finishing up putting a couple of pallets into its LTL before it's starting to hover and kind of slowly back itself. It's still got the same beep though, burp, 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 as it finds its way back out into the ground level before it just you watch as like a large air pressure shift comes underneath it. It's just lifts up straight up into the the driving lanes. There it is.
Do we have our own car? Like
So
with a driver?
So here's the deal about transportation and Altered Carbon. Air cars are so frequent, and they're very rarely privately owned. Like you can flag down an air car anytime you want, and they're not expensive to get from here to there. It's the equivalent of like basically getting an Uber right now, right? Like you can get them wherever you want. But owning an air car is kind of part of the privilege of being in the atrium kind of situation, or the twilight, which is like the as area right below. So it's kind of in that like pseudo meth category. Moira might own a car, maybe, but there's no way Raven does.
Okay, cool.
But the good news is you can basically pay a car with a credit chip. You can either use a credit chip or you can do a dermal scan to go anywhere you want.
You guys ready to go back? Do we have a headquarters? I feel like we would have a headquarters.
Why don't you tell me about those headquarters?
Carrie, I feel like you might have decked out these headquarters.
Definitely. Like once we had a base, I probably tricked it out with just about everything that we need, and probably stuff that we don't, that you just see Carrie tinkering with and messing around with. And you're probably like, what's Carrie doing with that? You don't know. Carrie doesn't even know. Carrie's just doing whatever.
Where is it based out of, Carrie? Where are these headquarters based at?
I want to think that Moira at some point like kind of sprung for maybe like a kind of a warehouse kind of a deal, like sort of not a huge space, and it almost like a studio apartment type of warehouse deal. Like that's just, nobody wants to live here.
It's a
But
work at home studio
yeah,
kind of a
yeah.
situation. And it's on the
But
ground, right? Or is it in the atrium?
no, I think we'd try to keep this kind of ground level out of sight sort of thing.
Yeah, we need room for the weapons vault.
Yeah, I've built a room. I've built like one of the first things I did was expand to give a place for Jack to just store all of his weaponry. And I think he and I keep getting into little fights because he wants to put more stuff in there. I'm like, we've run out of room, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. If you want more room, you got to talk some more about.
So what's
I'm
this
not getting
place?
rid of any of these guns.
What's this?
Also-
Do you have a name for this place? Does it have like a kitschy name that you guys all call it or something?
Oh, Devange.
Home base.
Home base.
And I also want to put like art, like really, really obscure art in it. So just like, you've got your weapons rack, and then just like $50,000 painting, like $100,000 statue that kind of takes up too much room, but is like also minimalist.
Okay, I could see if you ever needed materials, you know what to liquidate pretty quickly in order to get it done. So that's part of the.
Everybody is synthetic, so synthetics they don't eat.
So synthetics, technically, in the world of Altered Carbon, synthetics they can eat and they can process, but they basically need to decharge and rest. So they still need to rest in the way that like people do. And for the purposes of the game, I don't think you need to eat. I mean, I can go and check in my notes real quick. But
I think
that's a great
Carrie-
question.
Devange cooks, so that's when Devange is thinking, she cooks.
Oh, cool.
I think you still, if I remember correctly, there's no reason for you not to eat. But the only thing about synthetics is that it's kind of like, drinking soda versus La Croix, depending on like how bad your how good the processor is that makes taste work for you. So the issues with synthetics, unless you've got some really good tech going on, you may not have the same amount of resolution with tactile things as you
I would have tinkered if any of the people in my crew were interested in it, I would have tinkered with it until they got to the point where they were satisfied so that they could enjoy Devanja's food if they wanted to.
Okay.
I think Carrie didn't bother with the upgrades for themselves, but they eat Devanja's food anyway, even if it doesn't taste like anything to them.
Aww.
Okay, that's cool. So if I hear you correctly, you're heading back to home base so you can cook a meal and talk this over, if this is what I'm hearing.
Do we have something that would check to see if our weapons were bugged?
I could look into it.
That's definitely something that Carrie would be able to, do a field pass over it.
Oh yeah, on our way out, I can do a quick look at Devanja and Jack's weapons and my weapon, I guess.
Okay. Then I think that looks like a. Is that a? That'll probably be a mechanics. I'd say you'd want to go look for a physical bug on it. Yeah.
Okay. And what's my target number?
Target number on this. I mean, you're looking for a bug. It depends on how good Kamala's bugs would be. Let's call this a 5.
Okay.
Can I assist?
Jax, are you looking for it, or is Carrie looking for it?
Carrie's looking for it, but can I assist?
Absolutely. Then why don't you take a bonus dice at a D10, Carrie?
Cool. Got it.
Yeah, with the bonus dice. So
Nice.
All right, so you look over it, and Jack takes some time. You basically both are in the air cars while you're looking for bugs, and you don't notice anything. It doesn't look like Kamala made any overt or covert efforts.
All right. Well, at least for now, it looks like they trust us. So
I know, what idiots. Now I don't trust them.
Carrie just pats Jack on the shoulder. Zach on the shoulder is just like,
All right.
So I think we should see if any of these buyers are related to or have relations to anyone who works at the company or in the development department.
I completely agree with that. I think we need to pull up full info on each of these names.
Okay, so you're going to go back to home base and basically start trying to do a deep dive on the Earth network, EarthNet.
We got to know what our next step is. We got to know that over some antole or some shrimp and grits.
Okay.
Shrimp and grits sounds good to me.
All right. Well, getting back to home base, I mean, you've got your base terminal, right, Carrie, that you work at, but this can be something that all of you can do if you want.
I like to imagine it's a bit like Q's workshop, where like if you walk into it, it looks like a residential domicile, but like I push a button and suddenly it's just like people's terminals sort of pop out for them.
Okay, it's
Love
so
that.
fancy. You guys are doing some good jobs to getting all these cool toys in this world. You're like leaning into the Batman stuff.
I mean,
real heavy.
Moira's got us covered.
Right.
And it's and it looks super. I think it looks super cool, but I figure that Carrie is probably very thrifty and has figured out a way to like kind of low tech this so that it's not actually as complicated as it looks.
Or traceable.
Yeah.
Right.
The more analog the materials that they can put together, the better.
Well, I can tell you just with a standard EarthNet search, looking over the 3 names, the people that most likely fit that category there is a Martin Cambridge that is currently visiting from Birmingham at the moment. That is in Bay City, and they are a steel importer. As well as Sando Yoshai, who is an Oni software coder and is currently in from Osaka, who's also currently in Bay City. And then finally, Catherine Baker, who is an agency rep at the Cerebrus Talent Agency that's based in Bay City. And those are the 3 those are the cursory kind of information you get from those 3 individuals. And right now, just on EarthNet, besides like that's the public data that is known of those 3 individuals. If you'd have to go deeper, you'd have to start doing some hard digital engineering or analysis.
So we've got 2 people who are in tech and one is a talent agent, did you say?
Mhm.
Now, is that odd?
In my experience, talent agents are the worst scum.
Can't trust actors
Or their agents.
or
Ah.
their agents.
They're agents you can't trust.
I don't know. I some actors.
So is that
Around
odd
20
to
years
you?
ago, I had an actor take out most of a talent agent's roster just to be able to get on the top of the list. I completely agree with you. Flip some neon dreads.
Yeah, so what are you thinking? Like at this point, is that enough information for you to want to go and talk to them more, like to get that kind of boots on the ground kind of information? Or do you want to potentially try to do some kind of dipper information carry? And I mean, you could get flagged, but you could get some more information.
It depends on how now that we're in our own private space and I know that we're not being watched or surveilled or anything. Carrie turns to Moira and is like, so how exactly do you want to play this? Do we want to play this clean and we go in and do this the old fashioned way? Or do you want to maybe get our hands a little dirty? Because I can try and hack into their systems and get a little extra information for them. But I figure at this point, we want to low risk this as much
Yeah,
as possible.
these are not all like regular Joes living on the ground. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
So it's like the moment we tip our hands to these guys, we're racing against the clock. So I figure if we do this the old fashioned way, we're more likely to get a little bit further with that.
I trust your experience.
Well, I think it's a little less about my experience and more about what Devansh feels comfortable with right now, because she's the one who's going to end up having to do all the talking.
That's true.
I think whatever is easiest for us at this stage is what I want to do, because it's going to get real hard later. People always do.
Yeah, I don't think I want to be messing around with these particular people's high-tech firewalls, because if we ping them or if they ping us and then we try and come at them with questions, they're going to be suspicious about the coincidental nature of the two things. Yeah, it's bad news to me.
A surprise
I do
visit.
have another possibility that we could do. There are some connections that I have, let's just say in the underworld would be a term that can be used. How about we have them Carrie, connect with them, my contacts. They do the dirty work for them. Whatever traces back goes back to them, and they know how to deal with people that want to trace back to them.
Like that.
Fine with me. I like keeping my hands clean if I can.
So the question is then, Devansh, if I hear you correctly and you want to lean on your network a little bit, burning an influence point in this circumstance, it sounds like the thing is, I don't know if I'm going to look real quick and see what you have in here. You have criminal, basic law, criminal defense. So you don't really have access to like a thuggery kind of network. It's one of those circumstances where that's actually a trait that you would have to take in order to have some thugs that you could use to go and beat down information like you're talking about. But you're basic law and criminal defense. So there is a circumstance you can kind of decide how you want to go about and use your network to gather the information that you want. And I want you to think about like what your criminal defense basic law backgrounds in this kind of circumstance, what that might look like for you. Because in many ways, that could even just be like a junior lawyer who just wouldn't be able to go and pull up information on this because maybe they work at a competing law firm or even the same law firm or something.
Yeah,
like
we
that.
want to keep these intrusions digital, right? Not physical.
Unless you're literally going to go, start knocking on doors.
I'd like for us to have a little bit more information before we go knocking on doors. I mean, once we turn Zach loose, then
yeah,
that's it.
I think that the plan is we were going to use Devansh's contacts to do some digital
Digital intrusion.
digital intrusions, so that if they accidentally ping the firewall, it's not blowing back on us, it's blowing back on Devon's
Okay.
contacts instead.
Okay. All right.
Home base is where we start and where we end. They don't need to come to us.
Okay.
Yeah, and I like the idea that maybe we're at like one of the questions could be, like one person's like, can I get a list of talent agencies that have been created in the last year or last 6 months, or like the other companies, kind of figuring out which is kind of like a facade company.
Sure. Yeah, you're looking for like shadow corps and things like that. It's the kind of network. So that's actually where we're going to get then, because we're going to be using influence to do this. Since you're, like you said, don't want to get your hands dirty. And Devon, you have 4 influence points at this moment in order to lean into your underworld contacts. So my question is, who and what do you want to know?
Okay, I want to know what Mora just put forth. We want to find out shell corporations, shadow corporations. We want to see who here on this list has the most dirt on them or the most to lose right now. That's the kind of digital trail that we're looking for. Devansh is going to tap into. There's been a number of people that, okay, the law says they're bad, but I know that they're not. And amongst those people, there have been ones that are kind of remind me of Carrie in the way that they tend to just tap along on that digital fence of what's right and what's wrong. And I've let a number of them go. And so I'm gonna tap into one of those contacts.
So if I hear you correctly, you're gonna go find yourself a dipper friend who is feeling like maybe taking some side job in order to do a little bit of work for you. So
exactly, so that they can facilitate Carrie's in part of this investigation.
Then burn an influence point. So go in there, burn that influence point. I'm going to have you basically. So here's how it is. So it's going to be another digital networking because you're gathering information at this point. And since you're bringing in a contact to assist Carrie's investigation at this moment, we're going to assume that they're a dipper of some known skill, right? So we're going to.
Am I making the roll?
No, not necessarily, because Devange is burning the influence. I'm going to be doing a little bit something different here, where I'm going to let them do the role for the digital networking situation. Actually, no, that's a good point, Carrie. You could, because at this point it would be actually fun to have you do the role and basically get the assist on it. But Devange is using the influence point to make sure that it's not traceable back to you, so to speak. So let's have you do the digital networking. With a target of 8, all right? But you're going to get a bonus die based off of the D6 that I'm assuming this dipper is going to have with their tools and digital networking, and be able to play it like that. But there's some luck involved here, for sure. So I would like you to be able to do a luck dice, and I'd like you to actually add a D10 for a luck dice, because I think this is pretty risky. And the type of luck this is called push your luck, press your luck, which basically means it's disadvantage. So luck is actually going to be the disadvantage element in this process.
All right, so I'm rolling a D8. The target number is 8. I'm adding a D6 as a bonus die, and then I'm rolling a luck die of D10. All right, here we go.
Okay, so the luck dice is 9. The target was 8. So unfortunately, it's a failure. So, oh shoot! Actually, technically, we're not supposed to do bonus dice and luck dice in the same roll. I forgot.
Do you want to roll that again then?
No, it's cool. No, it's fine.
Okay.
The luck dice is still the way it is. Technically, you would just we would just be counting the 4 as part of it, but the luck dice unfortunately still ran out. So what you're basically getting from the extra information you can gather is that none of these companies that these 3 names that work for, like these 3 different names, the steel importer that I discussed, the software coder, and the agency rep, the Cerberus agency, they all they all are legit companies in this circumstance, so none of them seem like any kind of shadow corp or any kind of circumstance that specific question is that these companies all seem to be legitimate corporations that aren't even owned by these people. Like, these are all workers for these companies. They have no, besides like, maybe the steel importer, might be a little high up in the corporate chain, like the agency rep and the software coder. These are all underlings for these major companies.
I don't know what to tell you, Moira, but it looks like everybody here is on the up and up, unless they've got their shit buried very, very, very deep. Thanks for the help, Devon. Sorry that didn't go a little bit better.
Well, you can't always count on the people that you let go. There's a lot of things that happen in between when you did them a good and then where they are now. It's just one of those things. I wish that they could have come through for you a little bit better.
It was basically a text exchange anyway. You didn't even get a chance to talk to him. So,
well, it seems to me like we're getting closer and closer to an opportunity for Zach to bust some skulls.
It's true. There was
direct, the easiest and most direct way. Just bust skulls and figure it out later.
So then, trying to figure out if any of these people have any relation to or friends of anyone that works at the company, we should do that in person.
And you do remember when you were looking over the sheets, like I said, these were all buyers. They were all potential buyers at one point, but for one reason or another, they backed out of the deal.
Yeah.
So they probably did have like a sales associate they were liaisoning with directly with Kamala. So,
do you know anybody who was interested in these sleeves or knows these people?
Oh, do I?
Oh, as Moira?
Yeah.
So the only one Moira would know. Oh, that's actually a good point. Let's see if we can make a kind of a. Yeah, that probably would be a check. Yeah, this would be either a. Let's do bureaucracy for Moira.
Ooh.
Yeah. Target number is like 5 though. Moira knows a lot of people.
So I push the button.
Push the button.
And then
you should say, it actually defaults to 5, but just the target number is 5.
Oh, I don't know where that is.
It should have a little pop-up.
No pop-up.
So you click on it,
I clicked on
and it should have an input value with target number, and then you just type in 5.
No. I wish that was real on my end.
Did you do it on your character sheet?
Yeah, I'm in the character sheet under intelligence bureaucracy. Do I click the D8?
Click the word. No, you click the word.
All right, I clicked the word and nothing's popping up.
Okay, it's okay. I can actually do it on my end for you if you don't mind.
I'm okay with that.
It,
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, so roll an 8. All right. So unfortunately, you don't know any of these names. In fact, the fact that like
I found the input value.
There it is.
Sorry, I had my character sheet out and then it pops up on Roll20.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I should have mentioned that.
No
but Sando and Catherine, they seem to be people probably Moira wouldn't be associating very much with. Like there's a world in which maybe she would know Catherine, but they are all names that of the millions of people who are in Bay City, she's never heard of them.
Nope.
So
as Devange is finishing up because we're back at home base, right? Like we've been eating. Yeah. As Devange is finishing up the last little scoop of shrimp and grits, where he goes like, she then looks over at Zach and goes, well, this seems to be a pretty even playing field. Is there any person on this list that really jumps out at you that just needs a little help of Zach in their face?
I mean, I don't know. Like I said, that casting agency person seems the most suspect to me.
Same.
All right. So, do you want to try to? There's two ways probably to go about it. Then you could either go directly to the Cerberus agency and contact Catherine directly, or you could again either put a tail on her in the way that you
Guys
can go and look
ourselves as
at it.
one of the actors.
You could put a tail on, or you could use more influence in order to hire someone to put a tail on her as well, too, depending on how much outside of home base you want to go at this stage.
Is it possible for me to put some sort of digital trace on her?
You'd have to program something specifically, and then you'd have to actually get it on her. Like, unless you want to dip directly into her personal Oni or something like that. It's not impossible. It's just not as easy, because if you could very easily dip into where someone is like that, then people would be doing it all the time for
Right.
terrible reasons.
Of course, yeah. I know nothing about that.
But again, anything's possible, especially when you've got time and money on your side.
I think I'm gonna let our leader give us some perspective.
She's wealthy enough to try to bid for a sleeve. She probably has an assistant.
Are you talking about Catherine, or are you talking about Moira?
Catherine.
Catherine is wealthy enough to buy a Kamala, yes.
Yeah. So
she likely has an assistant. Yes, most agencies have an assistant. Mm-hmm. Agents,
yeah,
sorry.
I say we maybe investigating her, like looking up her information might flag, but maybe her assistant wouldn't.
Oh, okay. So you want to go after the assistant then and try to get some information on whoever they are as well.
Or
Yep.
yeah.
How would you like to go about that?
I feel like a Devon. I feel like we're all just like looking at each other because we all form like one unit. So
and I don't mean to like, because I'm happy to kind of, especially knowing this world and having things into it, but there's just the good news about this world and about Altered Carbon and about neo-noir and detective agency is, like you said, and you've been exploring it, like you could go and knock on doors, you could go meet up at a cafe, like you could digitally intrude on them, you could hire someone to go shake them down. There's just so many ways to approach investigation in this circumstance. It's not just as simple as, oh, roll investigation check. It's like, how do you want to go about the information in this world, in this neon drenched world?
Yeah, because did her name's Catherine?
Yeah.
Did Catherine go in and ask, like, do the direct conversation, or does she use someone like Raven, which it would be her assistant, to have the conversation with the broker of the sleeve? Like, that's the kind of information I think I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, and again, I ask a question: how do you want to go about getting that information? How do you want to find out? Do you just want to do another EarthNet search on, like, seeing if you can find out at least what their name is? Because that part's probably pretty easy.
Like their resume. Let's look at their resume.
Okay.
I've got a little bit of an idea. If you're the assistant of a high-powered person like that, don't those assistants need to get a lot of self-care, like either spa-wise or like digital spas? How about we go to whichever place is closest to their work or closest to their home and confront them there?
All right. So you want to go find
confrontation?
Zach, go to the spa, Zach.
I mean, they're going to be vulnerable because their mindset is, I've got to get my self-care on. This is horrible, by the way, but this might be effective. This might be effective.
This is awful. We would not.
This is awful. I would
never ever intrude on people's self-care routine. Don't do it, people. This is our disclaimer right now. Don't do that.
Horrible. But this might work.
Okay. So if I'm hearing you correctly, do you want to go, it sounds like you want to go around where the Cerberus agency is and see if there are any convenient areas that people who are frequenting the Cerberus agency might maybe stopping in and out of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Good news. Just do a little search on EarthNet and can come on around in here. It's very easily. The Cerberus agency is one of the top level agencies in Bay City, and it's well known enough that it actually is in the Twilight. So the atrium is where all the Mets live, with like their floating cloud cities, and just they're more money than God kind of a situation where they go and hang out. But the atrium are the companies and the businesses that kind of live in the area between the ground. They're like the dwindling middle class, right? So
The Twilight.
the Twilight. Sorry, thank you. Yes, the Twilight is where that is. And so the Cerberus agency has no front door access, as in you cannot get to it from the ground. It is accessible by air car only, which means you basically have to take a car, and then you actually, if you type in the Cerberus address as a destination, you actually have to get clearance from the desk clerk in order to even let your air car come in, kind of a situation. So the building that is connected to the thing that has the Cerberus agency attached to it is a large like pillar building. Takes up several blocks, this entire thing, and it is mostly a kind of an up escalating kind of condo like situation, where the higher and higher you get up, the more and more you've kind of risen in the ranks of society, until you start getting into like the premium business slots that make up these portions of the Cerberus agency. And they're just one of many other large businesses that are living in this Twilight kind of situation. And there are a lot of like little ground services that you would expect grounders to take advantage of, that are anything from like street vendors, food vendors, to sleeve modding agencies, to like you said, spas. There are digital spas as well as physical spas. And I mean, it is not uncommon for the ground level to have basically all of these servicing business utilities, in which grounders own and maintain in order to take care of everyone in the Twilight. So
Okay. Devange, would Moira have set up like a way, if she needed our team to have access to upper level things, would she have like given them company employee, like employ them as like consultant? So Devange is a consultant to Cedar Pole.
Oh, I see. So if you wanted,
So I want to send Devange in as like, I'm going to the spa, and here's my, the company car is taking Devange to the spa.
Okay, so the way to do that is if you're going to lean on Moira's influence as far as what she's going into, and you want to basically, because Devange can pretend whoever she wants to be. That's the joys of just saying whatever your name is inside of this world. But if you want to make credentials for her to do something official, like for example, if you want to drop Moira's name to even walk into the Cerberus agency, you could burn an influence to do that. Absolutely. But again, it just depends on if your idea is to stock this assistant around the ground level, then you're probably going to be taking a couple of days just to go and make sure that you're checking all the places and doing watches and like doing the patrol work that's necessary. I just want to make sure that's what we're doing before we do it.
Yeah.
Basically what I want is that I want to talk to this assistant in a place where she doesn't feel like her boss is looking over her shoulder.
Okay. Well, then let's play a little bit of fast forward then, and let's get to a position where you track down their name over on the EarthNet. By the way, it's Kiki Motiani is the assistant's name. And you kind of got a profile on what they look like, or at least what their current sleeve looks like. And she's just this very very formal looking Asian lady with tight, very spiky hair that's tipped with frost. And she's at least in her profile pic on her companies on the Cerberus's website, she just is kind of in that power suit. Like she totally looks like she is a ladder climber, is what it is. She's got a stark very fierce looking face, but she's not very old. She's probably in her late 20s to early 30s, which is pretty phenomenal if this is her first sleeve that she's been able to get as far up as an assistant to like someone like Catherine Baker, you know. And it takes a couple of days before you finally track her down, you know, just sitting and doing like the standard, like walking on the streets, just being around the building that just encompasses the Cerberus agency. But eventually you do see her on the street stopping to go pick up a coffee and basically walk into one of the several service spas that are in the area. And it's not like a spa necessarily, like I'm going to go get a pedicure and hang out, but it's actually like a sleeve maintenance spa. So that's inside. So you see her kind of walk in, and you've seen her. She does this about every third day or so. You do see a pattern. Okay. And I think we're going to be taking a little break. And once we come back, we will find out exactly what's going on with Kiki Motiani's a little investigation as the team continues to find out what's going on with Kamala Biotech at the moment. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, from our little break. We've been going through along this investigative mystery at the moment with our Furious Five at the moment. Five, if you count Moira's alter ego, Raven Steel, at the moment, which is super fun. We're currently sitting outside of the Cerberus Talent Agency, waiting to see if we can get a hold of Catherine Baker's assistant, Kiki Motiani. And right now, it sounds like you've at least seen her, if not established some kind of pattern. So the question is, now that you've seen her, are you going to engage or are you going to observe?
So I think that we're not all there, right? It's just Devanche.
Oh, Devanche, that's an excellent point. Yeah, I mean, I have to imagine for all of you to cover the area around the Cerberus agency, you would all have to basically be, you know, doing stakeouts across the building.
I feel like maybe we've like got ourselves a little air car that we've just sort of turned into a mini base. The driver's just hanging out.
Oh, these air cars don't have drivers. Yeah, they're all driverless.
We just rented out an air car for a while, and I've just turned it into like a little mini base for us.
Which is fair, but I'm perfectly okay. Devanche, yeah, I would say let's make it you the one who spots Kiki first as she's going into a sleep maintenance spa.
Okay. Also because of I don't know if we did more Raven's influence with it. Am I just going under my own steam, or am I going under a pseudonym here?
That's up to Moira or Raven, depending on which body she's in at the moment. I think you're in Raven's body.
I'm in Raven's body, and I think that I would have set up like consultancies for everyone in case we needed them. That way you have access to upper level things. You can
go under the pseudonym if you wanted to, Devanche. At least say that you're from Moira's company if you wanted to.
Yeah, because I want to be assistant talking to another assistant of high-powered individual type of a deal.
Well, let me know how you'd like to approach the process.
Before I do, what are the top things it is that we're trying to figure out here with Kiki? Are we trying to figure out that Catherine is dirty? Are we certain that Catherine is, and we're just trying to pursue that line? I just want to know how I'm going to handle it.
I guess it's up to the team. Like, what kind of information would you like to find out about Miss Catherine Baker? All you know right now is that she was a buyer for Kamala, and that that is about all the information you have, is that she was going to be a buyer for Kamala, but no longer purchased a sleeve from Kamala.
So maybe it's finding that out. How do we feel about that?
Asking outright would be okay. you could say that someone that you like, it could
Well,
be
no,
something where it's
just the information that we want.
Yeah.
And then I'll.
Oh, okay. It's like, well, my thoughts are, if you are curious about that company, was it Kamala? And the sleeves, like maybe that would be something that you could be researching as like an assistant. Like maybe you've heard of this company, but you don't. It does that. I'm not trying to like tell you what to ask, but kind of like a way in.
I totally get it. Yeah.
All right. Unless anyone else has any other ideas.
I mean, we could always do the extreme direct approach, but we'll hold off on that.
Can Zach be outside nearby somewhere? Because
Yes, absolutely.
In the bushes,
you know,
You'd have to call him back, because if you're going to take advantage of this moment now, you're not going to have backup immediately. You're just going to have to let people know that you're going in, and then
I'll let everyone know exactly where I'm going and where I'm going in. Zach, use that information how you want to, my dude.
All right, I'm going to make my way into that general area.
Okay, copy that. All right.
I'd feel better if Raven was also on standby, just in case we need another person to come in and help Devange schmooze. Because like people going into spas with friends or meeting friends at the spa, having a friend on standby to like hop in, for a cover reasons, just in case. Devange can be like, "Hey, I'm waiting for a friend,"
I like it.
All right.
I like
Yeah,
it.
I'll come in.
It'll be
10 minutes after you.
There you go.
So I will be in the spa area, like in case you need me.
I like that. And we do like hand signals to each other.
Oh, we can hum songs,
We've
right?
got our signals down.
Yeah.
You can even use an Oni if you want. Okay, so Devange, you start walking across the street. You just watch as Keek.
Yeah, Devange has prepared, has dressed in a salary appropriate outfit for this exchange. For going into this sleeve maintenance place.
Okay, appropriate. So as you kind of make your way across the street, making sure that you're stopping by, there are a few ground cars, very rare, but you basically just easily walk across the street and kind of walk into the building. Out front, you can see there are several AR kind of advertisements that are spinning around, showcasing some of the latest specials. There are still things like mani-pedis that are still on the menu after all these years, because people still got dead skin to take care of. But a lot of it are things like rejuvenation elements. There are definitely large lights that kind of advertise like different ways to bring your needle sleeve back up. A lot of them are chemical treatments. A lot of them are just baths. That's what it is. So by a spa, you're literally bathing yourself into like rejuvenating chemicals. So Kiki's kind of already mid-transaction. She's chatting up the clerk that's up at the front there. They seem to just be catching up on each other because she's a pretty frequent. She's just kind of there hanging out, about ready to get her stuff.
Okay, Devange comes in. She has a moment when she sees the natal baths and like all these pictures of people with like their natal sleeves, and it's just kind of like, and then she
walks over.
Yeah.
So the clerk, who looks like he's still talking to Kiki, sees you coming into the goes, "Oh, hello, welcome. What can I do for you today? Welcome to Angel Spa City and Bath."
Okay, so Raven Steel or Moira, the super high powered one?
Moira.
Like, oh, why, hello. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm the newest assistant to, I'm sure you've heard of her, Moira Larkspur. I am in not dire need of sleeve maintenance. I don't want to upset you, and I'm so sorry. And she looks over at Kiki and like, I'm so sorry to interrupt. This is the most stressful job that I've ever had, but I'm just here now until I can get higher up.
Kiki kind of like gives you that kind of look like, oh, really now? And says, yeah, tell me about it. And Tom goes, well, we have lots of standard packages for different baths if you'd like to go into it. Is this for you or is this for your boss, Moira? Larkspur, you said?
Yes, Moira Larkspur. No, for once it is for me.
Oh.
I am actually going to be able to splurge one time. I mean, they can give us that, right? And she looks over at Kiki.
Kiki's just kind of like politely nods. Yeah, she is like slowly starting to kind of grab some of her stuff and get into it. And Tom continues to kind of make the sales pitch to you and goes, well, and here, let me do a quick thing because I need to see. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So Tom kind of looks at you, kind of gives you a little once over, and then looks back towards Kiki and goes back to you and goes, well, Miss, I just wanted to let you know we are a natal bath house. We don't do a lot of service on synthetic sleeves, particularly even one as such as high quality as yourself. I don't believe we have any services available for you today. And you can see Kiki kind of she's looking a little embarrassed on your behalf. As she's kind of staring at you and staring at them and Tom continues to turn the pitch around and goes, we do definitely have a service yard down the road. One of our associates that's a little farther down the street, if that's something that you would be interested in.
Devansh then puts her hand on her forehead and, oh, I'm sorry. I was in my natal sleeve. 6 weeks ago, my boss made me switch to synthetic.
Oh, it happens
And
all the time. I understand. Yes.
It's one of those. I'm sure there was some sort of social and higher up reason, but and she looks over at Kiki.
Kiki kind of gives you that look and goes, your boss made you switch to a synthetic sleeve? Why would they do that?
I would love to know that myself, but apparently there's a number of things that are above my pay grade.
Okay, well, he must be paying you really well, or if they want, in order to be able to make you cross sleeve without even giving you a reason why. What do you do for them anyway? Who's this Larkspur?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even.
I'm so sorry. Yes, my fault too. I should be grilling you, Kiki Motiani.
Oh, I believe I know your talent agency. Actually, Moira Larkspur is in conversations with Catherine Baker.
Oh, yeah. Well, Catherine happens to be my boss. I don't believe I've heard of that name though. Moira Larkspur. Is she talent? Is she another agent?
Oh, no, she's extremely high up. One of the bigwigs for Bay City. Like it's not.
There's a lot of people in Bay City. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no. Please, I love actors.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things. Actually, what ended up happening with it is Moira wanted me to be in this type of have you heard of Kamala Biotech?
Yeah, no, I mean, everyone's heard of Kamala. They're literally one of the best, biolabs here in Bay City. They are all over the world and they're based here. Yeah, no, everybody knows Kamala.
Apparently, there's this new synthetic sleeve that they are coming out with everywhere. And Moira was actually in conversation with Catherine because they're trying to replace all of their assistants with this bio sleeve.
Wait, they wanted to give their assistants Kamala bio sleeves? Is this something that Catherine was talking about?
Apparently. I mean, I'm not obviously in a Kamala bio sleeve right now, but that's what they had.
I mean, no offense, my dear, but I think we could all tell if you were in a Kamalo. But that's interesting. Okay, God damn it, that would be a very big stretch for someone like Catherine to go and give her assistants like high-end sleeves like that. But okay, well, thank you for letting me know. That's interesting.
Yeah, have you not heard anything about this? I mean,
No,
my aunt.
well, Catherine was going to be buying a Kamalo at one point. I didn't know if we'll have to see if she was going to get ones for any of us. I doubt it, though. Maybe she was just saying that in order to make her look good. That would be very Catherine of her to do that. But no, I know that she was talking with Kamalo for a while. Was looking into getting a sleeve there, but she's in one now. So I guess the transaction went off without a hitch because she's walking around in her brand new non-stink version of her new Kamalo sleeve. So, but I just certainly didn't get one. Stupid bitch.
Well, I didn't get one either, honey. Oh my God.
Right.
So,
well.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm talking out of turn and everything.
It's okay.
I thought
It's just
something everybody knew.
If you need me to go, I mean, I know the place she's talking about, so if you want me to walk you over there. Otherwise, I've only got like another half an hour for my lunch break, and I got to get in this thing.
Baby, I understand. You go do your thing. I can find the place on my own. Okay. Don't even worry about it. You enjoy your spa. You enjoy your friends.
Well, it's nice to meet you. And your boss's name was Moira Larkspur. Is that right? Okay, yeah. I'll give you a look up on the EarthNet. Okay.
Oh, I love that, sweetie. Let's do that. Let's do that soon.
Have a good night.
I'm gonna go.
Okay, and just as you kind of walk out, Kiki kind of like grabs her stuff as she kind of walks up the stairs and kind of comes up a cycling surface. You come out, and at that point, as you're leaving, is right when like Raven is like coming up to the door, like slightly winded from having to try to get over there as quick as she could. So
I'd love if Zach like appeared from the shadows. And then Devon goes back to like,
oh, Kara going back. Okay, let's go.
Yeah. No. There's no need. There's no need. Catherine's walking around in a bootleg. We got this. Our instincts were right. We're going to take her down. And I relay to everybody the information from the conversation.
Okay. So, everyone, you basically get over your Oni interface or however you want to do communication between all of you. Onis are usually the easiest. They can be private or they can be public, however you want to broadcast it. But Carrie, you get an update from Devange about the status of Catherine's bootleg Kamalo. So,
Ivan, back at home base, do I have any kind of restraining devices or things?
Are we going to fast forward to all of you being back at the base, or are we done here and you guys are going back to home base?
I'm wondering, do I have something back at the base? I'm not necessarily fast forwarding it. I'm just saying, do I have something I can get that will help us capture?
So the good news about Zach is that he has, as a soldier, he actually has a cool thing called requisition, which means that you have a limited resource catalog that you can pull from, and you just have to roll depletion whenever you pull from it. And we can make things like, bindings or, like DNA cuffs or something, like some kind of restraining materials. I would allow you to pull from your requisition. You just have to roll depletion.
Okay, I don't have to go back and get it. We could go.
You could go back to base and go get it. Yes.
Okay.
We should go back. I feel like we would only have these conversations in the base because
back in the base anyway. Yeah.
Eavesdroppers.
Right. So as you guys are continuing to kind of roll out, and are you going to be taking your SUV style air car that can fit all four of you inside of it at the moment?
Of course.
What's that?
Of
course, yeah. So as you all kind of hop inside of the air car, you kind of watch as it takes off and kind of slips up into the various traffics, and you kind of watch as it merges into with all the kind of the other air cars as you start visiting into the other part of town where headquarters is based out of. And about halfway through the drive there, you guys still kind of keeping it on the hush hush because, you know, air cars, right? Air cars, am I right? You kind of watch as the air car jolts for a second. So it kind of takes a moment, and then you watch as it actually merges out of its lane and starts to make a descent back down to the ground.
Carrie?
So
We
it
did
takes.
not
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. That's not cool. I'd like to get a quick look at why this car is doing
Do you
this.
want to look at that real quick? Do you want
Yes,
to do
please.
some data analysis and type
I
of look into it?
will. Yeah.
Roll
sure.
your data analysis.
What is my base?
Cutie.
My target number.
Oh, your target number for this is, it's not too bad. Let's call it a 7.
Okay. No, I'm not getting any bonus die or anything like that, right?
We'll do a luck dice, but this would be a disadvantage. So do a D10 luck dice.
Cool.
Boop, boop. Oh, all right. No problem. So you look into it and you basically pull up and you can see it. It's a pretty overt hack. Someone has entered a new coordinates for your cab. So they basically came in, entered a new coordinates, and now the air car is in a security lockdown, and it's basically doing an emergency exit. So someone basically tripped the equivalent of like in your car when you put your hazards on, except in an air car in Altered Carbon, when you put your hazards on, it locks the car down and then it pulls over immediately in the safest possible area. That's kind of what it does.
So essentially we're being overtaken and we can't. Can I attempt to break the hack?
You'll probably have one chance to override before you have an opportunity to see what happens.
Yeah, I would like to try and do that.
This is quick. It's happening very quickly. Then this is digital engineering is what it's going to be. And we're looking for a 4 on this one.
Data engineering?
Data engineering. Yes, data engineering. You're looking for a 4 on this one. Here's the good news, though. Shit, are you going to have time to put in your deck? If you, I'll tell you what, like you can either have it one time now. That's actually typical because you do definitely have your portable deck on you. You could basically plug into it real quick. So you're going to have those bonuses.
Cool.
So, all right, remind me what your decks. I can.
What my deck. So my deck has a tech point chassis, I believe, of 2.
That's right. Let me just find out. I think it adds training value to it, is what it does, which is going to move your portable deck. I didn't write it down in time. Okay, so I know it at least gives you a training value of 1. And what we can do is, since it's a tech point 2 item, which basically means it gets 2 cool things that it gets to do, we'll say that it's going to give you a training value of 1 on it, and then it's going to give you a bonus dice for it just to use for digital for coding. So basically you're whipping out like an AR keyboard so that you don't have to like roll anything out. You're basically pulling up your arm and having to do an intrusion immediately because you're just getting an AR keyboard that's coming right up onto your wrist.
Okay, so just so that I understand, when I roll this, we are going to be bumping down whatever I roll by a factor of 1 because of my training.
Yes. So instead of the target number of 4, it would now be a 5.
Got it. And then I'm getting a bonus die. Yes. What is the value of that bonus die going to be?
It's a good kit, but it's not great. Let's call it a D8.
Okay. And no luck, correct?
No luck. Can't do bonus and luck at the same time, or it's really rare. Okay. So you kind of are. I mean, you're laughing and chatting with your friends in the back because you've had this high of like, we got it, we got this bitch, right? Mm-hmm. Having kind of a fun moment to have around. And so when this thing diverts over, like you start moving and you kind of start lifting your hand up and you find out very quickly that the new coordinates have been entered, and you kind of start slowly typing it in. You get close to where it is, but by this time the air car has already found its way to the ground and has basically landed into a dark alley onto the side of the grounder, and it kind of goes halfway in between 2 buildings before it goes down into the ground. And you watch as all 4 of your doors just lift up as you hear the sounds of
Oh,
a
no.
couple of people shuffling around from the shadows inside of.
Yeah, I'm just gonna unsnap the holster on my gun.
And I'm hiding behind Zach.
I want everybody to stay in the car, and I'm going to jump out first. But I think we might have lost Ivan.
Say again.
Oh, there you are.
He is.
You froze on us.
You guys were hearing a little bit. Yeah, I think my connection's unstable. Phoenix is probably grinding number blocks on Netflix right now, so it's okay.
We were saying I was saying I kind of want everyone to stay in the car, and I want to perceive where I think the voices are coming from and prepare myself.
Okay. Well, here's the deal. You basically stay in the car, but you hear someone pull back a slide somewhere outside. And you hear a voice, gruff, and it's been modulated so that you can't tell what the kind of a voice it is. It sounds incredibly synthetic and laid out. And yeah, and you hear this voice come out and goes, Raven Steel, get out. Put your hands in the air. Everyone else stay in the car.
That ain't happening.
All right.
Who's asking?
A friend.
Show yourself.
Kind of watch as this like body kind of slumps out from the shadows into the light, and you can see it's this tall, like broad-shouldered guy who has a long kind of snout that's been pushed up to the front with like a dark black wet nose, and he's got these kind of like slitted opened up eyes that are just bright yellow as he opens his mouth a little bit, and there's actually a grip onto it, so it's almost like he's wearing a covering, but you can clearly see the protruding muzzle that's coming out from underneath it where the modulating voice is coming from, and goes, we have business with your boss, Raven.
Oh, well, if you just wanted to talk, it's all you had to say.
And he levels the gun and he starts firing right into the air car. So okay, so here's how combat works.
Not a friend.
Here's how combat works. What's going to happen is everyone's going to basically take their perception, and they're going to build that many d6. And so there's a dice, they're called speed dice, right? And every single one of them is a d6. Those are like the actions that you can spend in a round. So we're all going to kind of roll them all based on what your perception bonus is. So for example, Carrie, you've got a perception of 1 at the moment, so you technically would get 1 dice, while Moira has a perception of 30, so you would get 3 dice, because it's all about the tens digit in this regard. And I want each of you to roll that amount of dice, because those are going to be you could say they're kind of like your initiatives for each one of the rounds, but you're going to bid these dice for when you want to go between each round.
Is this the one time we're doing how do we roll this die?
Yeah, you could do slash roll.
Oh, we're going to do this still in. Okay.
You could absolutely do it analog if you want to. I love you all. I trust your honor and the honor system. So
I got a 2, a 6, and a 5.
I'm gonna go for that advanced rolling that I was doing before.
Okay. The you won't be able to do it for the skills. So you'll probably have to do a slash roll 3d6 in order to roll technically 3d6, or in your case.
I just went under advanced rolling and I did 4d6.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's done. That's great.
So,
That's exactly what you need to do.
Yeah, do I get a bonus at all? I've got 25 perception.
So you would technically get 2 speed dice
Okay.
in this circumstance.
Then I rolled them. I got an 8.
Okay. Well, so here's the good news. Good news, bad news. Is that each one of these die results is technically when you could bid one of those to go into the initiative order. So a 1 being going first and a 6 being going last. In this regard. Okay. I know there's a lot of 6s. I'm seeing a lot of 6s across the board on here, but that's okay. Normally in the game when we'd be on the tabletop, it's actually a hidden roll. So the GM would hide all of the opponent's initiatives right? And then you would all get to do the same, and we would blind bid how many actions we would like to do as part of like what our intent is. Because now what's going to happen, now that you've rolled all of your speed dice, we're now going to declare our intent, right? So this guy, he's got a surprise round. He's firing into the car, and he's basically just doing the equivalent of like a warning shot where he's pedaling it into the side of the car, doing superficial damage to the air car. And you can actually kind of smell the ozone as he's hit the engine of the car, and you can kind of start to see as like some steam is starting to be let off, and you see as liquid is starting to kind of drip out from underneath as the hydraulics are kind of starting to, or the anti-grav is kind of starting to falter a little bit, making the car rock and shake. But now you would all simultaneously get to decide what's your intent, and I will tell you how many speed dice that takes in order to do it.
Hide behind Zach.
Okay, hiding behind Zach only costs 1 speed dice. But what about everybody else? What's everybody else feeling like doing? Carrie.
I wanna. Oh.
No, go ahead. Sorry, Tomash.
I only have the 1 speed die, and it puts me basically dead last in the initiative. So I think Carrie's only intention right now is getting their med kit ready.
Okay, fair enough.
I've got a 2, 3, 3, and a 6. What I want to do is roll out of the car, staying behind Zach, because that's the number one thing. Roll out of the car, and I want to fire up into the air.
Okay.
But I want to do it in a way that they don't realize that I'm firing up into the air.
Okay. So you want to roll out of the car and then take your
cause
357 and just fire off a crack, just a huge booming shot in the alley.
So they duck down.
Okay.
Well, Devange and I both have a 2. So couldn't we do that simultaneously?
Well, the issue is that since Devange wants to both move and shoot, that's going to cost two speed dice in order to do that.
Okay.
I got a 2, a 3, a 3, and a 6. Is there anything that I can do
so you could do a 2 and a 3 in order to basically go at a 5 on this next round is what you could do. And then then you would be able to get to go before Jax, and he could bid his 6 if he wanted to, so that you go first and then he goes. But then you'll be going at 5 and 6 accordingly.
I see.
I'm not trying to get in front of Jax's action here.
In that circumstance, then if you want, Jax can bid his 2, go really quick, especially if he's not moving and he's just shooting or doing some reactionary thing. And then you can spend your 2 dice to position yourself. And at this point too, you don't even, if you want to just do a distraction, you could go and you don't even have to do a warning shot. If you wanted to roll out and take a shot at this guy, you could just roll behind the car and then prop your 357 up and then take the shot. Because you're all, as far as distance goes, you're all in the same zone right now when it comes to like penalties for friendly fire and crossing and things like that.
Okay, yeah, I'm backing Zach up with what he's doing that firing, and be like, listen, Puck, you chose the wrong day.
Okay. And if that case, that would only take 1 speed dice to basically put yourself behind cover and size them up if you wanted to. Is that what you want?
Yeah. I'm basically backing up Zach here.
Okay. So Zach, then what's if she's backing you up, then what do you
if I've got an open shot at the guy firing, I'm opening fire.
Okay. All right. So then what I recommend is that you do bid that, because that's just 1 speed dice to take that shot. Then is all that is.
Yeah.
Because you're basically, I imagine you're sitting and you're just bringing your AK to bear from a sitting position, right?
As soon as the air car started to veer off course, I was getting ready.
All right, then it really does only take 1 speed dice to do this. You're in a position for it. So.
And I'm not retconning either, because when the car went like that, I did go like this. Right.
No, I believe you. No, it's all good. So then let's do this.
Check the tapes.
Let's. I'm gonna just make a note real quick so that I know who's going when and where in an old school style. And it sounds like Jax is going at 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then which dice did you bid, Devon? Is it going to be the 6, 3, or a 2?
I'll go ahead and bid the 2 so I can be there for whatever Zach needs.
Okay, so you're just going to be putting yourself in position by using the 1 dice. You're not going to move and shoot, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Then I guess I'll have to do the 2 and then the 3 so that I can then move and do the shot. I just want them to know that
You mean
Raven's
business.
not alone. Zach is not alone for taking on these people.
Copy that. All right. And then, so the good news is that Carrie, if you want to hold, like if you don't want to do anything because you got just your 1/6 and you want to hold on to that, you can hold on to that speed dice and you don't have to do anything this turn. You can use it as a reactionary dice down the road.
Yeah, I
because-
think at this point I'm just going to hold, because if there's a way that we can de-escalate this situation before I even have to get involved, that seems like the smarter play here. Plus, if I go too soon and somebody gets hurt, that kind of takes me out of the running.
Okay. And Raven, you said all I've gotten at this point is I'm hiding behind Jax. Is that all we're doing for 1 speed dice, or do we have something else going on?
No,
Okay.
I'm just gonna do that and then talk it out.
Which dice do you want to bid?
I'm gonna go as soon as possible. I'm gonna use it too.
Okay, cool. All right, then. Great. So, Jackson, Raven, you get to go first.
All right. Well, what do we what am I
go
rolling? What am I doing?
So you're gonna roll your long gun stuff, and if you go to your jacks, and then if you go to perception, and then go to firearms,
Yeah.
you're gonna click that sucker. All right. This is you're going against his target number, which is his perception. So right now his target is a 3. I'm sorry, that's right. My apologies. You're actually going against yours. So right now you're trying to get under a 2, but because of your AK, you get a +2 on that. So that now moves to a 4. All right.
Okay.
And you just need to roll under that 4 with that D8 in order to hit him.
And do I get any bonuses, or that was the bonus?
That is the bonus. The
Make the
+2
target number
moves it
4.
over. Yep.
All right.
And if you want to, I'm sorry, the last thing I will say is there is a triggered effect that if you want, depending on how many, well, I'll let you roll first and then I'll explain. Go ahead, roll first.
Okay. 4.
Okay, so you got the target number. So you generated 1 degree of success. All right. If you had rolled a 3, you would have gotten 1 degree of success. But had you rolled a 2 or a 1, you would have gotten more degrees of success depending on how much better you did than the target number.
Okay.
Right. So now with your 1 degree of success, you have a choice. Choices in combat. You can either aim. There's a triggered effect here, aim, which basically means, or I'm sorry, hit. You can basically hit him for your 1 degree of success, right? Which means you're going to roll damage immediately against him. Or if you wanted to, you could do something like suppressive fire, or you could do saturation fire, or you can just straight up hit him. So the difference is that
suppression fire means, but what saturation fire means?
Saturation fire means you get to add, you get to basically, in shooting down the road, you get to have bonuses, but you're also going to use it more ammo, right? So you're gonna use it more ammo, and you're gonna do more damage down the road if you continue to fire, like if you do exactly the same thing next round. Or if you bid the action again to do more shooting. It's a quick way to do a lot of damage and to hit something, but you're going to just burn through ammo is what it is.
Gotcha.
So,
all right, well, I'll just hit him.
All right, just hit him. So just like a 3-shot burst, just bring it up with the AK. All right, now roll damage. It's a D8 plus your perception bonus, which is 2, plus another 2 because your AK is it's a gun.
But do I click on? Do I click
No,
on
this
it?
is just gonna have to be a roll, like an advanced roller,
Okay.
because I don't think that's built into the character sheet.
So D8 and add 2.
Plus another 2.
At 4. Boom. All right, 11.
Okay, so you As this guy unloads his AK or his gun into the side of the air car, you respond by pulling up the SeaTac AK, and you basically fire a 3-shot burst, which you basically watch like rides up the front of his chest as it just like as it kind of hits him, and you watch as red blood just kind of splurts out in front as he makes this guttural howl, which sounds like a cyber wolf because it's going through the modulation muzzle, right? As he kind of like and he takes the gun, and it kind of like he lifts it up wide as he grabs his chest, and you kind of watch as he rolls to the side and gets behind a pillar. And a pillar being like a piece of concrete. We're in this alleyway that's right there at the moment as he ducks behind.
Okay.
And then Raven, you're going at the same time, so this is now your time to negotiate.
I too roll behind a pillar in the shape of a Terminator, which is Zach.
Right. Well, he's sitting in the air car right now.
Well, I move still.
Yeah, I never got out. I just by instinct just started firing from where the fire.
I curl up, then I just like lift my feet up and I get as narrow as possible behind Zach.
Okay, great. Now there are 2 other characters here who are going to be making some die rolls as well too. So let's see how they do. Actually, I'll just get all of them out of the way right now. Ooh. And they all basically hearing the cybernetic howl of their comrades. You kind of hear as a small bursts of gunfire kind of play up, and you hear as metal and bullet casing just erupts all around you. And air cars at this point are, especially since no one's using any like, what's the word I'm looking for? Any energy weapons at the moment. They all just seem to be like actual old school ammunition. You can kind of hear the air car absorbing all of the damage at this moment as its protective casing is basically keeping all of you shielded from the bullets at the moment, as they all just simultaneously fire into the air car. You see as the back window though shatters into like spider web glass, and you hear the tinkling of just as it continues to punch like golf ball sized holes into the back of the windows at the moment. And that takes us to Devansh. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said Devana. Sorry.
On the opposite side of the car, I'm still going to do what I did before.
Yeah.
Where it's like using the car as cover, but this time, since we now know where they're shooting from, I'm going to shoot at one of them, still using the car as cover. And when I'm doing it, I'm going to say, "I was 3 days from retirement."
Okay. Fire off that 357. Let's see how it does. By the way, do me a favor, Mr. Jax, and well, actually, it's not going to happen right now. Just do me a favor. Mark somewhere 1 depletion because you used your gun.
Sure.
I want you to just mark somewhere because you're going to have to keep rolling as you keep using it and potentially run out of ammo. All right. So the 357, that's a pistol firearm. That's a firearms check.
Firearms.
Right.
I have here target number 5.
Oh no, that's what I'm putting up. So in this case, you're going to have to roll it against your perception, which is 4. So you need to roll under a 4.
So I should put target number 4 there?
Yes.
Okay. No bonus dice. Well, do I get anything for it being a 357 or anything?
No, it's just the cool thing about a 357 revolver is that you get 6 shots with it before you got to reload. That's the cool thing about it. And you could focus fire it if you get multiple degrees of success onto it. But first you gotta roll to see if you get any degrees of success to work with.
Got it. Just rolled.
Let's see. Oh, nope. Okay. So you kind of fire wide. You hear as this giant hand cannon erupts, as it just kind of sprays off concrete as it just hits, close to one of the shadows firing from the darkness. It's like a spray of gray, just like shoots out in front like a water fountain straight into it, pelts the air car a little bit with tiny bits of rock. As it
And
all
you hear that really young voice saying, "I was 3 days from retirement."
Yeah.
Now the good news is that if there was anyone who hadn't used any speed dice yet, which in this case is still Raven, Carrie, and Jax, and you too, you could still be able to do more actions as well too. So basically, you're going to be bidding dice again to keep doing this until we've all run out of speed dice.
Okay. Well, since I've got 2 more dice that I can use, I
Mhm.
would want to use the 3 to re-aim and try to take one
Yeah.
out.
So fire again. 1 dice to fire again. Then do you want to wait and keep and just save that other one, or do you want to use it now?
I will do 1 and then I will wait.
Okay, so
The
you're just going to
last
use
one.
that 3 in order to make another shot, is what I hear. Okay.
See if I can take one of the others out.
Awesome.
Should I do the same roll with firearms?
Well, no, yeah, I have to find out what everyone else's intent is first. So,
Okay.
Jax, what about you? Are you going to use that 6 now for anything?
Who's out of the car?
Just at this point, it's just Devange.
Yeah, but I'm behind the car. I'm using it as cover. So
Okay.
I
No, I still
should
feel like
be
I should leave the car to get a better shot at whoever, because at this point we don't know if that's the only shooter, if there's going to be multiple shooters.
Right.
So
So
I
you're
need
going to use that 6 to get out somewhere.
yeah. Mm-hmm,
Are you on Devange's side, or are you going to go on the other side, the side of the shooter was on?
I'm gonna go on the side of the shooter and see if there's any in the moment that we're doing this. Is there any cover that I can see on the side of the shooter?
The cover that that hid behind. Yes.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to be a real aggressive here, and I'm going to go towards the shooter.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Lay it in.
The rubble that he hid behind, I'm trying to go behind there too.
Okay, great. Then
since I'm in position, is there anything that I can do to help Zach get to where he's going?
I mean, part of you shooting would potentially be covering fire. If you get degrees of success, you could potentially give him covering fire, but the way that you would help him is by using your speed dice in the order of which to be able to assist him in his action. You know what I mean? So you've got a 3, you're gonna go before he does. And so you get to decide who you want to shoot at to try to provide him with covering fire, because he's gonna go at a 6. You know what I mean?
I'm going to shoot at whoever he's running for so he can get to where he's going.
Okay, great. So you're going to fire at the guy behind cover. All right. Now, Carrie, are we still holding on? Are we like Raven, or we're curling up inside of the air car at this point?
I'm just keeping my head down, but I'm wondering, is there a way for me to somehow, does there seem to be any mechanical way that I can kind of get into, like, hacking into an Oni or something like that to, like...
I have a suggestion if you'd like to hear it.
Of course.
You could try to get the air car back up and running again.
I think that might be my play here, is try and getting us mobile again.
Okay, so then you would use your 6 to try to see if you can get the air car up and moving again.
Yeah,
So
let's get us out of this turkey shoot.
yeah, that's going to be data engineering, because you're going to basically have to say bypass all the security protocols at this point and go for it.
All right.
But then Raven,
Yeah.
you used your 2 to curl up into a ball. Is there anything else you want to do with your speed dice?
Yeah, with a 5, I would like to, since Jack is leaving the car. So ideally I would say something to the person, and then on my 6, I would like to close one of the doors and use that as a shield since I no longer have Zach.
Okay. All right. So we're going to do this in the order that it's meant to be then. Let me find out what I needed, which is my rolls up here. Okay, great. Then at this point, then Devana, you and the other shadows in the dark. Devange, damn, I'm doing that again. I don't know why I want to add that other A in there, but Devange, you and the other kind of shadows in the night are all going to be kind of going at the same time. So why don't you make your shot against the active shooter behind the pillar at the moment?
So is that the same firearms roll that I did before?
Yes, it is.
Okay. same target number 4. Got
Yep.
it.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
So that's technically 2 degrees of success for you. And for the 357, you do have some options. You can choose to hit if you'd like, which is there. Or you can do reload, or you could do some focus fire because you have 2 degrees of success. So technically you could even hit. Actually, this is speed. No, this isn't even another hit. So you could hit twice if you wanted to with this guy.
Okay, I'll go for that.
Okay, so he's behind cover, so you get to roll. Oh man, where's the damage on this thing? I thought I put it up. I'm gonna find it real quick because I know where it is in this part. I'm just surprised I didn't put the damage entry onto your actual weapon. I believe it's a D8, but pistols. I love clickable I love clickable PDFs. They're the best thing on the planet.
Would that count as focus fire for me to do the 2 hits or no?
So technically, it's just a hit. You're using a degree of success to hit. If you wanted to do focus fire, you would technically have to use more speed dice. But since you've already used, you used your last. Oh no, you technically only used one of your last speed dice. You have 2, and you're only using 1 to hit right now, or are you only using 1 to shoot? Correct.
Yes.
So yeah. So
If
technically,
I had
you
a
could.
total of 4. I used 2 in my first movement, and
Then you have this 1 here.
And then yeah.
So what you could do, if you'd like to, is you could use that last speed dice to do this and add another 2 damage if you'd like.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. So you're going to burn all your speed dice.
Yep.
And this is called focus fire. This is what it is. There's a lot of triggered abilities that use either degrees of success or speed in order to do cool things. So that's kind of what happened. And
I'm picturing like old school roll out, doing the jacket.
Yep.
Kind of a deal.
So you're gonna do you're gonna roll a D8 plus 4 for damage, and you're gonna do that twice.
Okay. So 2 D8s plus 4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, and then another 4 because you're firing twice. So technically you did 20 damage. But because he's behind cover, I'm going to take one of those damage dice away to negate it. So you're still going to be doing 13, and so 9 damage. So you're going to do 9 damage up against him, which you basically level the 357, and you kind of are sizing up because you saw where he's ducking behind cover, and you know that the round is big enough to actually go through the concrete wall. So I want to hear how you basically disable, if not flat out kill this guy while he's hiding behind cover.
Yeah. Devange has added up to here with these punks that are roaming around these streets where it's just like they're not respecting anything. Like, how dare they try to take over our car and then jump this and then act like they're friends, but they're not friends. They're not friends at all. They don't even want to talk. Well, in that case, they're going to have to re-sleeve and then think about it while they're in their vat. So,
punch it through the concrete wall. You kind of hear another gurgle as you see like a trickle of blood coming down from the side of the pillar as Jax, you kind of like hear a body slump as you're doing like this like duck and run coming out from your air car to now get behind the pillar that this body has just slumped down behind. But in the meantime, there's a bunch of shapes in the shadows that are firing at you also.
Is it possible for me to yell one thing? Would I have?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, Devange would then be like, you got one chance now, punks. Get your friends and think over your life choices.
Okay, why don't you do me a solid intimidation check, and let's see if you can turn the tide of war. a D4 on luck.
And a D4 on luck. Okay.
D4 on
So
luck.
intimidation, my target number, is that my also equals my willpower of 4? Or something
No, it's
else?
going to be, it's probably going to be a 4 is what it's going to be. I mean, you did just shoot their boss right through a pillar.
Okay, so no bonus dice. You said it was
bonus dice.
The luck dice, but that was 4.
Yeah, luck dice is a D4.
Got it.
This is, we're going to actually add these.
Whatever that is. Oh, an ace.
Okay, so this was going to be tough luck, and tough luck normally is I have to add the numbers together, which is like the worst case scenario for luck, where you have to add them together, and if there's a good chance if it falls apart, it falls apart. But you aced it with a 2 on the luck. So as you hear like the gunshot just and watches the spray of the 357 backs off, you hear the scuttling of feet as the pattering of just it's like bodies are just dropping and they are scattering like roaches everywhere across here right now. As Jax, you kind of run down and you see the organic damaged just guy lying down there, and you can actually see as he's attempting to breathe, like a blood air bubble like kind of like pops out of his throat, out of his mouth, as he just kind of like gurgles and kind of like looks at you with a wild yellow eye as he stares at you.
Search him.
Well,
I mean, we're done.
I could yell back.
Go ahead.
Yell back at Carrie and be like, "We're definitely going to need a medic here."
Okay. Well, you're out of the combat situation. You scared them the fuck off. But Carrie, you can still do a digital engineering check to see if you get this air car back up and running.
Yep, so is it my turn to do that?
It is 100% your turn to do that.
So. Awesome. So I'll go ahead, and what is my it's a
3, but remember your deck is going to give you the bonus dice.
So that'll make it a 4.
And that'll make it a 4.
And then I'm getting a bonus die on this, or a luck die?
It's the bonus dice because of the deck. Did we do the bonus dice last?
I think we did a luck die when we did it.
Then just use the TR. Just bump it up to a 4. Just the deck specialty. So.
All right, and then no luck die or bonus die or anything like that.
No luck or other factors in here at the moment. So.
Hey.
Okay, so
that's like been my third roll like that today. Like
that's great. You made it with a 4. That's awesome. Yeah. You right on the money. You basically tap in as this moment is happening and all this gunshot is around you. You tap into it and you basically find out that the air car has a ton of structural damage, but it can still turn on, and you basically turn it on and you lift it back up. And I'm gonna ask you very quickly, and you have to answer this question very fast, Carrie. You see an alert that's going out for BCPD because of gunshots against it. Do you deny it or not? Okay, it's going through. Right.
Deny. I think that's Carrie. As Carrie like blinks at it and then goes, shit.
But now there's an alert out to BCPD, and it's sending the GPS coordinates to this car at the moment. So
yeah. So I look to Raven and go, fuck, the police have been notified. We need to get out of here now.
Let's get out of here. We'll get another car. Zach, grab the body. Let's go into the alley deeper.
What's that?
We got to search the body. Grab the body. Let's go.
Still alive.
Drag him.
Okay. I want to question him.
Exactly. Grab him.
Fine. I grab him.
So as you grab him, as you start dragging him, you hear his howls of agony as his beat up form is just being dragged through the alleyway, just screaming. Like, hear the modulating howl as he's continuing to move through, and you make it about another 10, 15 feet. And before you start to notice the smear of blood that he's leaving behind him as you continue to drag this body through the alleyway.
Carry him?
I'm not carrying him. It's fine. He's big, right? Isn't he big?
Yeah, he's broad-shouldered. You know, he's. I mean, you're. Yeah, it's 6'1",
Did I carry
6'2",
him?
probably 250. You know, he's a big boy.
I guess I could carry him.
All right. So you're gonna like firearm lift him?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, like a firefighter.
Yeah, like just kind of lift him and then shoulder, just fireman carry as you kind of go through. All right. So you kind of walk and keep. Now you're picking up the pace. You're not seeing the smear of blood anymore, but you can definitely feel the
feeling the
wet
trickle.
on your
I'm feeling the
shoulder.
trickle. I'm feeling the
You want
trickle.
me to
Yeah.
do something about that, Zach, or
Uh,
what?
When we get to our hiding place, sure.
Cool.
Okay.
Say,
Hiding place.
So you guys go through the alleyway and you start finding the other end of the alley, and you can hear the sirens of BCPD just starting to kind of wind as you are hearing the air cars.
Before we left, like Carrie did their best to just scrub the car as much as possible.
Oh, just like get all the prints off as whatever
Yeah.
you can.
Yep.
Then
I've worked with Devons too long I know better at this point.
okay, do me a favor. Let's actually. I want to roll for that to see how well it is. Well, no, it's fine. Actually,
It's like I can't imagine how many times Carrie has been dressed down by Devons for forgetting to do stuff like that.
So you go and you just scrub everything you possibly can, and then you just hop out. You grab it with you as you kind of hightail up through the alley. You make it to the other end of the alley where you can see the kind of like closing twilight hours of the day. Or
would it technically be a survival roll?
Yeah, why not? Let's do that. I like that. But the target number is 7.
Sure. Okay. No bonus die, no luck die, or anything like that.
Oh, let's do luck. Let's do a D4 luck.
Oh, of course.
See if it fails.
Jeez. Okay, sure. We're doing it live, y'all. Hey!
Yeah, you got it. A 3 and a 2. No problem. Yeah, this is. I mean, you're the cleaner in this circumstance. You just go through it. It's almost like you've built it into your synth body at this point. I can imagine like you just popped your arm open like a glove compartment and you scrubbed it down real quick, shoved it back in there, and then took off as much as you could. Maybe even having a disinfectant.
Pulled it out of my extra pockets. Like I've got like something.
Oh, even better. No, it's not a rag. Why would it be a rag? You just pop open a UV, right? And you just burn all that organic data with just the light UV real quick, and then you run.
Yes, I do. What are all those extra pockets for?
Okay, cool. Well, as I mentioned earlier, you get to the end of the alleyway, but now another choice needs to be made here because now you're at the alleyway. You're still carrying this body. You could call another air car, but you're only about 50 or 60 feet away from the other car at this point, and you can hear the sirens in the distance. So
who are you? What did you want with me? As I'm like going through his pockets, trying to find any identification or literally anything, I will grab everything in his pockets.
So, I mean, you should start digging through his pockets. Like if I'm gonna tell you right now, real quick, if you want his identity and everything you want, then your best course of action is to get a stack. Okay, but if you don't want to go through that process right now, then whatever identification he has on him, it really doesn't matter. He's all dermal and it's all there. It's you find the little bit of money, like some credit chips on him, and obviously his weapons and his stuff, and he kind of gurgles out and he kind of takes the mask off, and you can see he's got bestial augments, right? He's got this wolf snout that's kind of laid out in front of him on this muzzle, but he kind of like watches like blood is trickling in between his canines as he's kind of giving you this snarl and looking at you and like, fucking bitch.
We got some internal bleeding happening on this one. Not gonna last long unless
go, just do it. Just take my stack. I fucking dare you. But the cops aren't gonna be very likely to you taking organic damage like that.
We're not trying to kill you. I can help you. You don't have to die.
We could keep him alive and he won't swap or anything. It'll be great.
Yeah, do you like your original sleeve that you're in right now?
Yes, I do. Fine, take me back and I'll tell you what you want. Just get me out of here. Fuck those guys. Fuck those guys.
So Zach, just blindfold him.
Fine.
Okay. If you're gonna want to get onto the main street to go to go like avoid the car at the moment. I'm gonna need a stealth check just to see, because it's space
Can
city,
I
there's
also
people.
do a quick roll to at least stabilize him before we start moving distance? Can I do a medicine check to stabilize
Yeah,
him?
no, you probably would have some foam, like some medical foam that you could just
Yeah,
make stop the bleeding, right?
right.
I think for this, if I remember correctly, it is going to be
It's one of my
medicine.
Yeah, it's a medicine check with my toolkit, correct?
Yeah, which if it's a tech 2, then it'll at least give you a +2 to it. So
You didn't actually put anything down for what my
got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just under toolkits right now, which I'm figuring as my med kit.
Yeah, so and just for the purposes of not trying to like pour over the rules to try to get I imagine it would be a tech 2 med kit, which means it would probably give you a +2, like as far as moving the target number. So you're stabilizing him, and that sucks, and he's bleeding out, and that's not fun. And that normally I would say like that's a 4. Like out of the 12 you'd have to deal with, that's a 4. But because of your kick-ass kit, that's going to move it to a 6. Is what it's going to be.
Cool.
So.
And then do I get any bonus die or anything like that?
Unless it says anything. So
I mean, it doesn't seem to. So
no, then don't worry about it for now. So
all right. Hey.
Yeah, 3 on a 6. So you basically kind of roll, like you kind of like lift him up, and then you take, for all intents and purposes, like a it's like not quite like a hypodermic, but like a large thing that you'd usually use to like gap up caulk, like a caulk for like boarding and stuff, but you just shove it in the wound and he screams. But you shove it in there and you basically patch it over, and it hardens automatically and has this skin-like texture and basically seals the wound so he's not bleeding out everywhere, losing more blood.
I'll do a better job of you once we get back and we've got our information. Let's go.
Fuck you. And he kind of like, Jax, you kind of like put him down, and he can kind of like, as long as he's leaning almost all of his weight on you, he can kind of stand on his own. As you hail an air car, and you watch as it comes down and stumble into it and take off just as the BCP cars are coming down. You can kind of see as the lights are coming down, and you can see they are definitely looking after the runners, right? As they're kind of coming down. So you make your way to the hideout. Yeah. With screaming wolf guy gargling in your ear the entire time, complaining about his fuckers who left him to die.
You're lucky I don't sedate you. Shut up.
So, sweetie, why were you after me exactly?
We figured Moira likes you. You're probably worth something. You're not being very discreet about walking around town right now, looking after folks. Been watching you for a while, waiting for the right time. He kind of spits blood onto the ground and like wipes his mouth. It's kind of got this Robin Hood or this Little Red Riding Hood kind of look, where he's kind of just blood is dripping down his front. It's a good bestial augment, man. The fact that he can even still talk with the snout means that he's been in this thing for a while without like some kind of awful slur, And he kind of looks at him and goes, "Seems like some easy cash."
That's weak. That's so weak. Devange?
Devange steps up to this punk that just wants to withhold the information and is trying to act like we're idiots and that we don't really understand what's going on. Devange goes up to him, and then that caulk that's in there just starts kind of like wiggling it. It's like wiggling be like, "Oh, that's in there." I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have touched that. I was curious. I was curious to see.
Come on, Devange.
I was just curious. I'll feed him later, I swear.
What are you? Look, I told you what I know, and if you want, clearly those guys are assholes, so If you're looking to hire,
You don't look like anyone's boss, so who hired you?
Yeah, you told us what you know. How about you tell us what your higher ups know? Because I know you know that.
look, I just heard you were out on the streets, and
From
I
who?
guess. Look, we all got contacts, right? We all hear about little drips coming through the line, and Raven's not subtle about her little vigilante moments, and so some of us have beef, which is what my boys were about, but I'm just looking for the money, man. That's all I care about. So,
You know what's important? Pronouns and also proper nouns. I'm hearing a lot of pronouns from you, and I just need a proper noun. I mean a name.
some guy down at the docks, man, in the underwater series. If you want, I can show you where it is. I don't even know his name. You know how these underground circuits work. We just meet up and drink and talk shit. I know where it is, though. I can show you.
You know what he looks like?
As much as anyone knows what anyone looks like before they change sleeves.
Fair
But you
enough,
want to know
then.
where it is? Or you just want to cut my stack and leave it? Because I'm telling you, man, this fucking hurts. This fucking hurts a lot. So patch me up or fucking just organic damage me and leave me out, man. Just leave my stack for the boys. Or leave my stack. Actually, he writes down an address. It's like a P.O. box. It goes and just mail it there.
Devange slides him over some biscuits and gravy that she already made for everybody else. It was slow cooking. It was slow cooking while they were out for the day.
I would like to read person.
You have a self-addressed stamped envelope.
Because I have a feeling that maybe he might be telling the truth and that I just kind of haven't been hiding and it might not actually be associated with what's going on right here.
Yeah, if you read person, I mean, this is a 5 as far as it's hard, but it's not super hard. So go ahead and roll and do read person with a target number of 5.
2.
Yeah. I mean, this guy, he's just clearly like a wannabe mercenary bounty hunter type who probably got drunk with a bunch of his gambling buddies and thought that he could pick up some easy money because they've heard that you're rough and tough, but they didn't really know that you were running with like a circuit who could like down him in 3 to 5 seconds, especially that shot through there. They just thought that they could strong arm you and take you for some easy ransom money.
Oh,
that was
cool.
what it was. This is literally about ransom money. But hey, he's got a pretty interesting lead at the moment. But it may or may not be the direction you want to go. Who knows? Because he clearly heard your name somewhere.
Hey guys, my bad. I think he's right. I don't think this has to do with what we're up to. And I look down at him and I kind of like smack his face and I'm like, you've been real great. And just let people know that I'm not to be messed with, and neither is my team.
He kind of like lifts himself up, grabs a biscuit, not even really the gravy, and like shoves the biscuit in his mouth, and like kind of stands up and starts like walking towards the door. He's like,
Oh, no way.
No. I don't think so. Zach, can you knock him out, please? We'll dump him somewhere.
No. I have had enough today. It's fine. He just like grabs the blindfold and puts it around his own head and then ties it around and goes it down. And then he just kind of like, he tries to lift his hands up, but then, the gunshot wounds in his arm hurt. And it just goes, just fucking drop me off at the corner. I don't fucking care.
We'll drop you off at at a medic at a hospital. We've got manners.
No hospitals. I'll take care of it on my own.
Oh, sit down. Shut up.
All right, he sits down and goes, what the fuck are you out doing anyway?
None of your business, and I get to work.
Okay. Well, All right. So at this stage, besides the little puppy that you guys picked up, you did manage to glean some information off of Kiko, which leads you, to a pretty direct path to at least assuming that Catherine Baker is doing something. Like she at least bought the bootleg. So where do you guys want to go from here?
Oh, let's go to her house. I think Zach is ready to go.
Do we also maybe want to notify the people who hired us and let them know that
Mr. Talon?
Yeah, Mr. Talon, that we've found one of the bootlegs and we're going now to intercept it and get more information for him.
I mean, you could send him an Oni just as easy as dropping him a lift. So
I feel like letting him know that we're on the case at least, so that if anything goes sideways,
boss, we got an update.
He knows. Yeah. If anything goes sideways, he at least knows where to go next.
Okay.
He can send backup.
Yeah, good idea.
Something else.
Okay. Well, cool. Then you basically, you can decide what you want to do, but we can just make a strong assumption that the little friend that you picked up, you kind of drop him off where he wants to go along the way. He's not interested in going to a hospital by any stretch, but, Carrie, you basically patch him up enough that he can get along on his own. And you start heading towards Catherine Baker's Twilight condo.
Yeah.
So you grab an air car, and it's part of a suite of Twilight condos, and it's actually in the same building the Cerberus agency is in. It's just about another 20 or 30 by 20 I mean 200 300 feet up from where the agency is. And you kind of get in there, and you request the air car to come into base, and you do get a reading message asking for your clearance code to come into these condos, or your resident code. I'm sorry, excuse me, your resident code.
The Bonch looks over at Carrie like,
Yes. I mean, unless we can get Mr. Talon in on this to potentially provide a code, I will otherwise try to hack into it.
Okay. I mean, let's try the hack first. You can always message Talon or call him on the Oni if you need to. So
yeah, I'll try the hack first.
All right, then let's do digital engineering, and it's a pretty high level residency, like for the atrium for people who are pseudo meths. So 4,
and then I have my portable deck, which helps
gives it a 5,
which makes it a 5. Cool. Where did it go? It popped out here behind. Love that. So makes it a 6 or a 5. Wait, sorry.
Makes it a 5.
Right. Makes it a 5. Do I have any other bonus die or luck die or anything like that?
Since you're taking time with it, let's play luck in this circumstance, and let's give you a D6 for luck, but it's a disadvantage.
Of course it is. Ugh.
Okay. Luck dice is good, but okay. So you start punching in a couple of versions of common codes, and as you get into it, you kind of are coming around, but then you get a lockout screen that's like, air card denied. Please return to ground.
Frack.
Is this something I would know, like to be able to kind of go as Myra pleases?
Well, even if you were a high level person like Moira, it's still about personal safety and security. It's just like a door code, right?
Okay. Yeah.
You got to have the door code to get in. So unless you want to burn an influence point.
Know anybody in the Twilight, especially in this?
I would love to burn an influence point.
Okay.
Go for it.
So I have a suggestion. Would you like to hear it? For your influence. Otherwise, do you want to tell me how you want to spend your influence point to beat this problem?
Well, I mean, I would love to hear your suggestion.
I'm only doing it because I want to make sure we see how this happens. So I would say that Moira does know someone in this building.
That's what I was hoping for.
As a friend. So all you have to do is just kind of call up her on the Oni real quick and just see if you can stop by for a quick visit.
All right, that's great.
You know, so
Yeah.
you kind of ring up and you go, "Oh, Moira,
Hello, darling.
it's been like 4 years. What the hell are
I
you up
know.
to?"
I've been so busy with acquisitions and whatnot, but
Oh.
I was in the neighborhood and thought it would be lovely to stop by, see your place, see you.
Oh, well, such an unexpected visit. Oh, geez, I will have to go and make sure we dress the place up for you. Fuck, come on up.
Oh, thank you. I'll be up shortly. Thanks.
All right, and she like sends you the code to buzz you in, basically.
Da-da-da-ding.
Burn another point. That's what it's for. Um, and you guys kind of zoom in, come into the basically the tunnel that's like the structure, right? So you kind of come in and there's several little docking places where air cars can stop and lift up so you can debark so that air cabs can keep going, but then other ones are parked into their appropriate slots. And you get into a very fancy marble interior lobby that then has it's actually, this one in particular is made to look like suburban America. So you kind of have this tall building that actually has these structured walls. So imagine a large column where at the same time there is buildings inside of buildings to make them look very like homey, turn of the century kind of an attitude around it. And each one is like a lot. So you go up into it, and so there's synthetic grass with halogen bulbs that are basically making the equivalent of like lawns and these beautiful picket fence houses, but they're all encased inside of this giant atrium, or this giant twilight condo tower, you know. And Catherine's up on the 10th or 15th floor, and you can see she's got a very modern for like the 2020s structure building with this perfectly manicured lawn and several like minimalistic structures that kind of look like they're inspired by the 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 the, the, the the ancients, like inspired by the Martians that are out there, but they clearly aren't Martian. They just are inspired by. And yeah, she's got there, and you can just kind of like open up the gate and walk up and knock on the door if you want.
A postmodern minimalist future.
Yes, all of it. Yeah,
A little bit of too much of
Martian.
everything, and yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of too much of everything. That's perfect. Yeah. So are you? What's the approach here?
I look at Zach.
Do we have a battering ram?
You are the battering ram.
I think you're the battering ram.
You are the brute squad.
So Jack, are you just gonna kick down the door at this point? Is that
Yeah, I'm kicking down the door.
All right. You kind of walk up
Guilty.
and you just slam this building as hard as you possibly can, and you kind of feel as the door, just because it's postmodern retro, right? It just kind of buckles under your weight as your synthetic skeleton is ostensibly a huge force to be reckoned with, and you actually punch your leg through the wooden door so that you have to lift your foot out and then reach your hand through in order to unlock the door and swipe it open. You hear as a small, tiny, yappy dog is starting to bend the corner as you hear this, as you watch as this neon pink miniature poodle just banks around the corner, slides its feet along the perfectly glossed floor, and starts yelling as it runs up to you and grabs a hold of your heel and just kind of starts pulling on it. It's you basically hear as like some very new wave smooth jazz seems to just be playing everywhere inside of the building at the moment, and it is, besides the music, it is very quiet. The lights are dim. It's very homey, besides the yappy dog.
And the dog is clearly like an android, right?
It's hard to tell if it's synthetic or not. It's that good.
Okay. Well, the neon pink kind of gives it away to me, but it could be a dye. So I was thinking of kicking it, but if I don't know that it's actually, if it's a real dog, I would never do that. Even Zach wouldn't do that.
Okay.
Devon has a little baggie with some leftover sausage that she was going to eat.
Perfect.
And hands it to Zach.
All right, cool. I'm like, here you go, little buddy. Here you go.
You can see as he's down there, he's still just like tearing at your cuff with just as much force as possible. And he does that thing where he's shaking his shoulders, but it's just moving your cloth just a little bit back and forth.
Like,
and
your mama? Where's your mama?
He just bears his like and kind of like grabs the sausage and pulls it into its mouth, but it's still bearing its like teeth at you at the same time. But it's not barking anymore. It's just growling at you while it just continues to like sneer at you, but continue to lap up the sausage. So, and as you say, where's your mama? You hear nothing at this point. The slam was so brisk and so sudden, but the music that's inside is pretty loud. And it's a 3-story building. You can kind of see it's got this big open parlor that has a staircase that comes up and then doubles back, leading up into a second and then a third floor, where the music just seems to be pumping throughout the whole house.
All right. Well, if somebody can take care of that dog, we could just start searching the perimeter and finding.
Well, I mean, you're walking through as you're kind of investigating, looking at this place, this postmodern retro attitude. The dog's following you, not barking, but still just kind of growling as it looks around you.
I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
Let's start searching each room, trying to find Catherine.
You looking around, trying to find Catherine anywhere you can, and you don't eventually find her until you reach the bedroom. And at this point, as you get more and more up the stairs, you kind of hear the music continuing to get louder and louder, and there's clearly like a sign of like dim lighting. You can see like a nice dinner was set out on the table. There's a glass of port that seems to have been half drunk that's laid out on the dresser upstairs. And as you get closer to the bedroom, you can clearly hear that afternoon, evening activities are going on presently inside of the bedroom. So
perfect. And they're not going to, their power of resistance is going to be pretty low right now.
Okay.
So I don't. Where's the rest of my crew?
I'm assuming you're all together at this point, unless you tell me otherwise.
Let's just take them down.
Zach, Devange, Carrie, and me. In that order.
Oh, as far as lineup goes.
Yeah. Is that cool?
Yeah. Are you going to open it quietly, or are you going to do another kick down door just for the shock value? Okay, so you burst this door down, and you see Catherine in flagrante delicto as she is just riding some character just on this beautiful 4-poster bed with, you can see this like fish in space kind of headboard right above them. And they're both not facing the door at all, but as soon as the door just slams down, you just hear her scream as she pulls the covers on top of her, and the guy, who is very much tied to the bed at the moment, kind of starts wiggling, and she runs around and she screams and looks at you, and you can see she's got her hand like on the dresser right now and is just terrified.
Great. Well, I'm going to try to tackle her, and she's got a counterfeit sleeve. We got to take it in.
Okay. Right. So she reaches over and she, she's kind of in a position where she doesn't really know what's going on, and she's screaming. And I think her first attitude is like, like, who's invading my home? But you can see that she's at least taken the point where she's starting to look at you, and then look at around and goes, "What do you want? What are you doing? What are you doing in my house? Jesus Christ!
We want your sleeve."
What the fuck? Why do you want my sleeve? I just got this thing.
You have a counterfeit sleeve.
This is an illegal sleeve.
It's not an illegal sleeve.
Oh,
actually.
baby, stop.
No, this is.
Yeah, where'd you get it from?
He like looks at the guy and like looks at you and like looks at the guy again and kind of like looks down at her very naked body as she's assessing her options here at the moment. Okay, fine, it's not a Kamalo. It's fine. I got it off of a guy, but it looked just as good. I mean, it is good, right? Like, look at this thing. Look at this fucking thing. It's awesome.
Who's the guy?
Some buyer, some salesman down the lot who got into oh fuck. And you kind of look her as her eyes are glassing over as she kind of looks over to her account, her like system. Oh man, what am I going for here? Her terminal. There it is. She has like a terminal light up, and you can see she's got alerts going up everywhere. And you kind of watch as she like takes her robe off or the covers off and like has completely forgotten that you're even here at the moment, and like sidebars you to go down to her terminal and just starts typing and moving into and looking at the alerts. And you can kind of watch as this like shock, like her body is just being drained of blood as she's looking into this. As Carrie, would you mind making an investigation check for me?
While Carrie's doing that, Devon's just gonna lift the sheets on top of the tied up guy to like cover him. And
Are you
I'm
covering
sure
his face or covering just his
well,
person?
he's not a part of this, so just
Okay.
like he was just having a good time. So just cover his body and are there earmuffs? I just want to put earmuffs and a blindfold on him. He doesn't need to know this.
I mean, you might have a drawer.
I'm gonna say I'm sure there's affections lying around. I guess
knows
more it's the
where to
choices. Do they exist or what color do you want? I think what it is. So
they probably match the room or they're black.
So like
Let's be
wood
honest here.
accents on the earplugs
yeah,
and the
exactly.
blindfold.
So just
Okay.
like while things are going, Devon's just like, you don't need to hear this, baby.
Okay, what'd you get, Carrie?
I didn't get a target number, so I haven't
Oh,
gotten
my bad.
anything
This is super easy. This is a 7.
All right, and no bonus die or anything like
No
that?
bonus dice, no straight roll.
Oh, I never do straight rolls, baby.
Yo. Oh. Never mind.
I didn't succeed, but there you go.
So you just kind of watch as her face is just draining as she just kind of puts her hands down and goes, I'm ruined. I'm fucking ruined. Oh God. And she kind of sits down and goes, go ahead. Do what you want. It doesn't matter anyway.
What are you talking about?
She kind of like motions over to her terminal. And at this point, you're just watching as like there just seems to be stock numbers and there just seems to be alerts with like large amounts of money that are appearing everywhere at the moment. And she just is like, she kind of looks up and looks you in the eyes and goes, those fuckers. This is what I get. They ruined me. Someone off-world just drained every single one of my accounts via Needlecast from Harlan's world. I don't have a sleeve in Harlan's world. I don't have anything in Harlan's world. And she kind of gets up and she starts just like knocking stuff over and kicking things and just screaming at the top of her lungs as she is just freaking out. And for a moment, she like opens up the balcony and like just stands up and looks
Grabs
down.
her. No. I'll grab her hair. Just like,
yes, pull her down.
Put your clothes on. We're gonna go figure this out.
And you kind of look around and she just starts mumbling about about how all of her accounts were drained, like she's never going to recover from this, like it doesn't matter if it takes 10 years or 100 years, it's never going to happen.
Get a hold of yourself, woman. Slap her in the face.
She just now the tears are welling down, and it's because fucking Kamala motherfuckers, I'm never going to financially recover from this. They did this. It's because of the stupid thing. That's stupid. It must be because I bought a bootleg. That's it. That's the only reason. They're so petty and they're so mean. It's the only thing I can think of. How else will they get all of my personal information?
Maybe you gave it to
The wrong fucking people.
you went to a bootleg person and thought everything was going to be okay.
And she
I've had
kind
a
of
lot of stuff with bootleg people. It's never going to be okay.
she pulls the terminal. She pulls the terminal up and pulls it up and like moves it over to you and stretches it out and goes, "That is a Kamala Shadow Court right there. That is 3 divisions under one of Kamala's major infrastructures. They're the ones who have purchased all of these assets under my name and offshore accounts. I can't go to Harlan's World because of, well, stuff that you guys don't even need to know about. But they have basically taken all of my Sol accounts and have taken them and built them up in the Harlan's World. They scammed me. They scammed me.
Why would they scam you?
Because I wouldn't buy their fucking designer sleeves. I don't know.
Why
You
did you
think-
decide not to buy the sleeve?
Because it's expensive. Have you seen those things? I got this thing for a quarter of the price.
What happened with the other people that were bidding on them?
What? I don't know the other people you're talking about.
Maybe this is a
Interesting.
threat. Maybe if you just play ball and tell us who sold you this, you'll get all your stuff back.
I mean, if you think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's
I mean,
go for
what
a
do
walk.
you have to lose?
At this
She
point,
kind of gets up and kind of like grabs her very well designed body and kind of looks up and goes, "Besides these, not much."
Get your clothes on. Let's go.
Okay, she kind of grabs her clothes and susses on together and grabs it out, and like the dog is ecstatic that she's okay. And she kind of like gives it a little pat as she puts her clothes on and goes, "Well, take my car." And
Devange like does a little head tilt over to her partner of
oh,
I don't
Jeremy,
intrude.
she
Should
like,
we untie a hand, or is this just I whatever y'all do?
she like grabs a remote that's on the counter and like kind of adjusts and goes, "It's on a timer. He'll be fine. See you on Monday, Jeremy," and walks out the door. So
That's trust right there.
she's got nothing else to lose.
This happens
Like,
all the time.
yeah. So you get into her air car, which is ostensibly like a BMW version of an air car that you would see around here. She kind of hops in and it drives her out and goes, "Now I at least a sleeve so that I could go in incognito into this. So probably not going to know me by this, but I at least know the guy." So
Well, I need to go ahead and do a quick like check over just to make sure that we're bringing in the real deal and not getting scammed ourselves.
okay.
Trust but verify.
So what do you want to verify?
I just want to make absolutely sure that this bootleg is what we're looking for and that we haven't been given the runaround.
I mean, even a cursory glance at looking into it and even looking at the brochure,
Mm-hmm.
like this is, yeah, I mean, there are definitely some superficial differences into it, but like the biggest bidding factors, like the various elements of the Kamala that she would buy it, which is like the lifetime guarantee, the various special features that are involved, which are very, let's just say they were designed for her particular recreational activities in mind, and all of that kind of stuff is laid out in the brochure, and you can tell that like this is pretty much it, minus all of the specific details around like bone structure and face structure and all that kind of stuff and skin tone. This is pretty much what you're looking at.
Great.
Should we take
I
her
kind of
to-
give my Raven a nod of affirmation, and then I just kind of sit back.
So, guys, do you think we should drop her off at Kamalo and then get the information and then go to the location where she got the sleeve?
I think that once we turn this into to our contact, our job is more or less done.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So Kamalo it
Well,
is.
it's basically
So
a
Kamala
deal.
it
I mean,
is.
unless they want to extend a contract, and then
Right. I mean, they might
Well,
send us on some more missions, but let's.
All right, so you basically drive by Kamalo, because she was going to take you to where she bought it. But if you guys just kind of take her and drop her off to Kamalo, she kind of gives you this look like, why are we going to Kamalo? You know, and she kind of like continues to have this questioning look, but there are people there waiting for the four of you, including her, as they kind of like pull her out, and BCPD there is as well too. And as soon as she gets out of the car, like BCPD there is cuffing her and putting her up, and you can see that oh man, let's get my notes up. But Mr. Talon is there, like with his hand out, just like ready to congratulate you for grabbing. It's like, I won't lie, I didn't think you were going to be able to find anything, but holy shit.
She'll be able
Catherine,
to give you all the information that you need.
I would have asked her for the address before taking.
oh, she would have
her
given you
over
the
there.
address. Yeah,
Okay.
she would have told you where it was, and it was basically it was a hybrid submersive dock. So it's an underwater dock where like hybrid freighters go under the water to like load in and out materials. Yeah, what Talon basically, as you're coming out meeting at Kamalo, just says, well, I think we can take it from here. BCPD got an alert about a break-in, and we managed to cross-reference Catherine Baker from the investigative team, and we made sure to interlude so that you guys wouldn't be interfered in your investigation. So thank you. God, tracked one down. And she kind of looks at Catherine Baker and goes, it really is. It's like, it's basically one of ours. Catherine, you have a lot of explaining to do. And she kind of still looks shocked that you dropped her off here of all places, and kind of gives you that look like, I'm going to get you, and have this opportunity as she base CDPD just puts her inside of the car, drags her down, and slams the door. You guys collect the other half of the deposit, and you basically have a job well done. You know, you get a little bit of rep from Kamalo as part of an opportunity, and you'll never know that it was Kamalo who was actually releasing the bootleg sleeves into the world in order to punish the buyers that decided to pass up on their offers and then drain their offshore accounts after stealing their physical data and needle casting it to Harlan's world.
Except that we kind of do, because we watched it happen. And she said as much, and we watched it happen.
You
so
watched it happen, yeah. And then you
maybe
turned
we
her
got
into
an
the
address to go to.
yeah, you know, and that is the end of our story.
Yay!
So, you know,
Right.
thank you. Oh, we got a little bit of everything in there. That's really wonderful. I really appreciate that. So it just kind of sucks that you turned in the perp to the people who financially ruined her. So, you know.
Fine.
that just means there's a second half of this adventure where we eat the rich, where we make it seem as though we were playing their game the whole time, but then we go back and we eat the fucking rich.
Yep.
Trace
Well,
back those accounts and drain everything from them, and dance on the bodies.
So that's
we're playing the long game.
epilogue, you guys. What really happens is we go to this address and we really wrap this up.
You really wrap it up. You go find all of the Kamala tech that's hidden in a warehouse somewhere. So thank you so much for playing, and thank you all for tuning in for this very, very kind of special live play cast of the upcoming Altered Carbon role-playing game. You know, I certainly had a wonderful time, and I really am just so excited to be able to play with you all. You did so fun. Damn it, you're all so fun. So you want to do one last rounds of what we are and where we can find us, and then we can sign off. Carrie, let's start. Carrie Aki, go for it.
Hi, everybody. I'm Aki. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Mixed Genie in a Bottle. That's MXGINIINABOTTLE. I'm in a bunch of places doing a bunch of things, so just check out my Twitter for my entire schedule. And yeah, thank you so much for having me, Ivan. I had a really good time.
Thank you. And I can't wait, because I actually can wait, because I read your stuff all the time. But when the Osaka supplement comes out and we get to have all of your endemic knowledge.
I have so much stuff. I've come up with the most ridiculous things, and I'm very excited for everybody to enjoy them.
Mr. Jax, aka JCM.
Yeah, my name's Jason Charles Miller. You can find me everywhere as Jason Charles Miller, and even here on Twitch every Monday night I do an acoustic concert for free at 7 o'clock. So just remember my name, and 7 o'clock free acoustic concert every Monday night. Miller's Music Mondays. Because there's not going to be like concerts in person for a while, so thought I'd at least do them here.
Miss Moira, aka Satine, aka
as
Raven.
Someone who's been to a few Jason Charles Miller concerts, you don't want to miss this.
It's amazing. His even the stuff that you're doing, just even getting the concerts online. Yeah, I think I told you Jason Charles Miller, but I'll tell everyone recently. My girlfriend Kazi just recently heard Jason play live for the first time over live stream and was like blown away. She had no idea. She had no idea how good you were.
I was watching The Last Unicorn, and there were some songs on it that certainly sounded like Jason Charles Miller's songs, at least from Sirens. I was like, yeah, definitely everyone go listen to Jason Charles Miller. I am Satine Phoenix. You can find me on the internet. I'm doing less of my own stuff and trying to support everyone around me. So you'll find me on everybody else's Twitch streams and charity events and such. However, I am the owner of Gilding Light, so twitch.tv/Gilding Light, where I'm providing a space for female dungeon masters to run games. So there's a whole bunch of amazing female dungeon masters, and a lot of people from our community playing Dungeons and Dragons. So yeah, at Satine Phoenix on everything, and I love Dungeons and Dragons. The end.
Yeah, I'm at Markia McCarty on Instagram and Twitter. That's MarkiaMcCarty. I was supposed to start Twitch streaming earlier this month, but things happened. So that will be coming. That will be coming around again. Energy reserves willing. And my Twitch channel is Darth Markia. But up to that point, I am the host, narrator, and a writer on Something Scary. So you can go to youtube.com/snarled. We have animated horror episodes that drop every Tuesday. And I narrate 3 to 4 more stories for our podcast that also drops on Tuesdays. We are about 9,000 people away from 2 million subscribers. So if you want to check us out and you like, then please subscribe and share. And we have something really nice planned for when we hit 2 million. So
that's awesome. And I'm Ivan Van Norman. I'm one of the partners at Hunters Entertainment who's making this thing that's happening right now. And if you hang out, go get some food or go enjoy a little bit of a break, because in about 2.5 hours at 9 o'clock Pacific time, B. Dave Walters is going to be running a game of Outbreak Undead with a whole crew of survivors, including Becca Scott, Havana Mahoney, Anjali Bhamani, and I always forget one person whenever I do everything out. So I'm going to remind myself real quick, because I'm a terrible human being. And
don't talk about my friend like that. No, don't talk about my friend like that.
It's wonderful. You should go check it out. We'll be around. Make sure you follow Hunters Entertainment. We're having so much fun. It would be super great to continue to have your support if we continue to stream and do other great things. So have an opportunity to hang out. And if you enjoy Renegade Virtual Con, everyone, have fun. And we'll see you on the internet. Bye.